The green light swallowed the space around them, shattering the surroundings inch by inch, until the demonic wind was finally repelled. Upon steadying himself, the elder from the Xianxia immortal sect took a closer look and saw that the demonic wind was a strange type of demon beast made entirely of black shadow. After its death, it dissipated into black smoke, leaving no trace behind. However, during the battle, the power of this small demon bug had surprised him. It had managed to gnaw holes in his protective Jade armor. If a true immortal had been here, they might have been devoured into bones in an instant. This place, it's truly fraught with danger, the elder muttered, his voice heavy with caution. We need to find the other elders and disciples as soon as possible. After entering the secret realm, his wariness grew, and he no longer clung to the illusion of opportunity. Now, his only goal was to minimize his sect's losses. Without hesitation, he turned into a streak of green light and sped through the void, searching for his disciples. Elsewhere, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were also not spared from attacks. As they walked through a desolate mountain, they sensed an unusual aura emanating from within the mountain's body. Following the deep rift, they descended into a vast crack in the earth and found a strange vine twisting within. The vine, made of writhing black shadows, emanated a peculiar aura of black light that piqued Jiang Chengxuan's interest. As an experienced immortal alchemist, he had never encountered such a strange living being before, so he was eager to examine it further and carefully approached to harvest the vine. But in the next instant, the entire rift trembled. The surroundings began to collapse as a tremendous force surged toward them, attempting to crush them with overwhelming power. In the darkness of the rift, where not even a hand could be seen, everything around them felt as though it was being swallowed by a giant mouth, creating an atmosphere of pure terror. Fortunately, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were no ordinary individuals. They used their divine abilities to counter the force, and after a series of explosive crashes, they opened up the collapsing mountain, even punching through the earth, causing lightning to burst out from the holes they created. Soon, black blood began to pour from the mountainside, seeping into the abyss below and creating a disturbing evil wind. It was then they realized the entire mountain was actually a massive spirit beast. This plant exudes a very strange aura. It resembles the aura of a calamity, but it's slightly different, Jiang Chengxuan said, after carefully examining the vine and sensing its energy. He had long felt a similar aura of calamity in this world, and the energy from the vine seemed even more pronounced. Could it be that the ancient realm is also undergoing some sort of calamity? Shen Ruyan raised an eyebrow, pondering the situation. In the immortal domains, calamities usually occurred only within the realm itself. Why would there be traces of a calamity in the realm where the Xuan immortal artifacts resided? This hinted at a larger secret, one that made them both uneasy. We can't draw any conclusions yet. My instinct tells me that while the Xuan immortal artifacts and the secret realm are related, they are not the cause of this destruction, Jiang Chengxuan said after a brief pause, his tone heavy with uncertainty. Either way, we need to find those Xuan immortal artifacts first, he continued, as the two of them exchanged thoughts silently while continuing to move forward. As they flew through the rift, suddenly, a powerful aura erupted from behind them, instantly enveloping their position. Boom! The wind howled through the void, and dark ash swept across the space, consuming everything within a 1,000-mile radius. The pressure of an earth immortal descended as a man in gray and white robes appeared, stepping out of the void and glaring down at Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. HMPH, what did you two find in there? Hand it over quickly or maybe I'll let you live. The old man sneered, his murderous gaze shooting out like red beams. He was clearly an earth immortal elder from the Greywind Immortal Alliance. Drawn by the disturbance in the mountains, he had been lying in wait for a long time. Upon seeing the young and unfamiliar faces of Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, he relaxed for a moment, thinking they were simply disciples of some sect who had gained an opportunity through their sect's treasures. Seeing the two of them, he felt no threat, so he boldly made his move to suppress and kill them for their treasures. However, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan simply stared at him blankly, their expressions unchanged, their eyes calm. This caused the elder to fume with rage. His wrinkled face contorted as his brows furrowed, and his earth immortal power surged. Still dare to resist? You're asking for death, he shouted, and with a wave of his hand, a gray torrent of energy rushed toward them like an unstoppable flood, intending to obliterate them instantly. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion occurred, filling the space with immense power. The gray-winged immortal elder let out a cold snort, his voice full of mockery. When he struck, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan made no move to resist. This surprised the elder, who felt a flicker of unease but quickly smirked, thinking to himself, "These disciples of the great sects are always like this, nothing but show." He dismissed the gray ashes swirling around them with a flick of his hand and muttered, "Such fragile elites." He was once a young genius of a sect in the eastern continent, but due to his background, he had been betrayed and expelled by another high-ranking disciple. In his desperation, he used every means possible to rise to the level of an Earth immortal and eventually destroyed that sect, founding the Grey-Wind Immortal Alliance with a philosophy of violence and slaughter. Thus, killing these elite disciples was always a source of amusement for him. Is that all? However, as he turned away, preparing to leave, a cold voice suddenly rang out from the heavens, freezing him in place. His eyes widened in shock as he looked back into the dissipating ashes. To his astonishment, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were completely unharmed, not even a crease in their clothes. They stared at him indifferently, their expressions unwavering. "Impossible," the elder from the Greywind Immortal Alliance gasped, his heart sinking as he felt a chill run through his body. His reaction was immediate. In an instant, he turned and unleashed his full strength, summoning a violent storm of energy as he prepared to escape. "It's not worth the risk for such an unknown opportunity. I underestimated them." But as he turned, it was already too late. Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying aura erupted, covering a vast area in an instant. With a wave of his hand, the power of a celestial lord exploded, distorting the very fabric of space itself. "Celestial Lord. Please, Celestial Lord, spare me. I beg you, I didn't know who you were." The Greywind Immortal Elder's voice trembled as he fell to his knees, feeling his entire body freeze. The pressure of Jiang Chengxuan's presence made him feel as though his very soul was being crushed. Realizing the immense power before him, he had no choice but to abandon his pride and beg for mercy, fearing his imminent demise. Chapter 1530, Calamity Weapon Opportunities, Mysterious Schemes /1. It's already too late. The law of the jungle, survival of the fittest. Since you chose to act against us, you must have understood this, right? In the gradually condensing space, Jiang Chengxuan's cold voice echoed, reaching the Greywind Immortal Alliance elder's ears like a whisper from the underworld, announcing his fate. "No, the Greywind Immortal Elder tried to speak, but under the confinement of Jiang Chengxuan's power, the heavenly source force gradually froze everything around him. Immortal energy in the air, invisible laws, and even the elder's body and domain. The overwhelming force devoured everything like a parasite, rendering the elder completely immobile. He couldn't even finish his last sentence. All he could do was watch as the threads of the death law wrapped around his body, slowly eroding his life force. Under the pressure of a celestial immortal, even an earth immortal cultivator could do nothing but succumb. Less than half a quarter of an hour later, the Greywind Immortal Elder's breathing stopped, and he fell dead on the spot. A powerful figure from the eastern continent, who had recently been a force to be reckoned with, was now silently dead within this secret realm, all because of a single moment of malice. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan felt no sympathy. They casually collected the elder's belongings and destroyed his body, erasing all traces of his existence. The elder of the Greywind Immortal Alliance had chosen to kill others, and he had to be prepared for the same fate. They had no reason to spare him, even if he had chosen to surrender. "Let's go, we should continue exploring," Jiang Chengxuan said nonchalantly after the battle. After killing an Earth Immortal, both Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan remained calm, turning and leaving without hesitation, resuming their exploration of the secret realm. The death of the Greywind Immortal Elder caused no major uproar in the secret realm. Amid the strange atmosphere, everyone continued to battle wits and courage against the various dangers within. As time passed, many of the realm's mysteries were uncovered by the Immortals, with treasures emerging and terrifying beasts attacking. The Xianxia Immortal sect and Taida Immortal sect, the first to assemble most of their disciples, discovered a hidden ruin deep within the mountains and forests. They entered to explore. After facing numerous disasters and battles with fierce beasts, they made a significant discovery in the deepest part of the ruins. A calamity weapon, a black giant axe, comparable to an Earth Immortal treasure. This discovery made both sects envious, and despite previous agreements, they both grew tense and unwilling to back down. A fierce battle broke out, with the four Earth immortal ancestors of the two sects joining forces to fight for control of the weapon. The clash shook the entire mountain range, causing the ground to quake and the sky to split, divine powers pouring forth, striking down stars in the heavens. However, just as the two sects were locked in fierce internal conflict, a shadow suddenly appeared where the calamity weapon rested. The shadow grabbed the axe, and at that moment, an immense aura of calamity erupted from the altar, creating a rift in the heavens and earth. The shockwave from the eruption sent the disciples of the immortals reeling, severely injuring many. The four Earth immortal ancestors were stunned by the sudden appearance of the shadow, which was a mysterious humanoid figure, neither fully solid nor entirely formless. They could not discern whether it was a beast, a ghost, or something else entirely. The four of them immediately regrouped and attacked the mysterious figure together. But the ensuing battle raged with such ferocity that the very heavens seemed to darken, the mountains crumbled, and the surrounding land was flattened for hundreds of miles. To their shock, the mysterious figure wielding the calamity weapon fought the four Earth immortals with ease, never once being defeated. It forced the two sects' elders back, and with the weapon in hand, disappeared into the void, leaving no trace. This outcome left the two sects' Earth immortal elders furious and ashamed, but they were also deeply fearful. The mysterious figure's power was overwhelming, and even their combined strength could not defeat it. This led to a reluctant agreement between the two sects to set aside their differences and cooperate in exploring the secret realm. Meanwhile, the Greywind Immortal Alliance's forces encountered the Jingang Immortal sect in another part of the secret realm. Known for their hatred of evil, the two groups immediately clashed. The battle caused a massive upheaval, with the ground shaking and mountains crumbling. Gigantic golden giants, visible for hundreds of miles, stepped through the earth, each punch shattering the sky. The storm of ashes unleashed by the Greywind Immortal Alliance's power threatened to engulf the stars above and tear apart space itself. However, due to the loss of one Earth Immortal from the Greywind Immortal Alliance, the Jingang Immortal sect began to gain the upper hand. The battle forced the Greywind Immortal Alliance to retreat, eventually abandoning their aggressive stance. Afterward, the Jingang Immortal sect continued to have good fortune. They discovered an immortal treasure within the same ruin, making them the second sect, after Xianxia, to gain an opportunity in the secret realm. As for the many true immortal disciples serving the sects, they struggled to navigate the desolate world. The dangers here were so overwhelming that even the large sects couldn't escape without heavy losses. For the true immortals, surviving was a matter of life and death. Having witnessed the grim fate of their companions, many of the true immortals realized the gravity of the situation. They decided to abandon their quest to explore and focus on preserving their lives. Some chose to hide within the secret realm, waiting for the exit to open. Meanwhile, the black-robed cultivators of the Xianxia sect. Chapter 1531, Calamity Weapon Opportunities, Mysterious Schemes /2. The black-robed cultivators of the Xianxia sect moved swiftly through the secret realm, surpassing everyone else in progress. Each of their three Earth immortal ancestors carried hidden methods imbued with the aura of the ancient realm, allowing them to navigate the dangers of the secret realm while seeking their goal. Along the way, they left behind special marks, quickly rallying their elders and disciples, outpacing the other sects in their quest. "It's close, I can feel it, it's nearby," one of the Xianxia sect's elders exclaimed. The Xianxia sect is about to rise. The Xuanming immortal domain will finally be ours," another shouted, their eyes gleaming with excitement. "The Loose Cultivator Alliance, what of it? The day of your demise is near." Under a massive stone tablet, the three Earth immortal ancestors of the Xianxia sect looked up to the heavens, laughing maniacally. They placed their hands on their arms, where dark, glowing seals were etched, channeling a special energy into the stone tablet. The stone stood an immense 1,000 feet tall, hidden beneath a layer of swirling distortion. Without special methods, it would be impossible to locate. Upon it, deep claw and sword marks marred its surface, forming intricate and ancient runes that radiated a timeless aura. Even the three Earth immortals couldn't help but feel a trace of melancholy and unease, though they were undeterred, knowing the tablet's origins. Their excitement grew as the stone began to pulse with light, responding to their prayers. Moments later, the three men laughed in triumph, having obtained what they sought. With a flash of black light, they quickly departed, eager to rush toward their destination. "Something is coming," Xianxia murmured, sensing a powerful aura from a great distance. He detected a powerful force stirring the void, rapidly tearing through layers of space as it approached them with startling speed. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, the sky above them darkened at a visible rate, as if ink had spilled across it, turning it into a black pool. An explosive roar accompanied the swirling black clouds, shaking the heavens and the earth for miles, causing rocks to tumble and dust to rise. Buzz! In the next moment, a piercing force split the sky, cutting through the heavens and earth toward Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. The aura felt somewhat familiar, causing Jiang Chengxuan's brow to furrow. A burst of white light appeared in his hand as he swiftly countered the incoming dark thunder with a simple wave. Boom! The explosion sent shockwaves that lifted the earth, sending a massive storm outward. The ground broke in half, and the surrounding mountains were cleaved by the force. Jiang Chengxuan's strike halted the dark light, forcing it back several miles, where it came to a standstill, facing them. "What is that?" Shen Ruyan asked, her gaze fixed ahead. Before them stood a figure, half real, half illusory, holding a massive black axe forged from black crystal. Its aura was sinister, with the power of calamity swirling around it, distorting the very fabric of space. "This is a calamity weapon," Jiang Chengxuan exclaimed in surprise. The familiar aura from the figure's weapon was unmistakable. It was a true calamity weapon, not a broken piece but a fully intact one. It was identical to the calamity weapon sword he had in his cave heaven. Roar! Before they could think further, the shadowy figure swung the calamity weapon toward them. The axe spun in a perfect circle, cleaving the air into a massive black crescent. "5 Thunderslash Immortal Sword, activate," Shen Ruyan called out. Without hesitation, she summoned a burst of 9-colored thunder from behind her, wielding the 5 Thunderslash Immortal Sword to strike at the figure. In an instant, Shen Ruyan's domain appeared in the sky, a vast ocean of 9-colored thunder, each strike a roaring divine lightning bolt. The sky reverberated with thunder as countless bolts rained down, shaking the heavens. With Jiang Chengxuan's assistance, she was now in the late Earth immortal stage, nearing perfection, and her power had grown several times stronger since her earlier battles. The lightning bolts, each 100 feet thick, represented the might of the heavens, piercing through all obstacles. Even the calamity weapon's power couldn't go unchecked against this thunderous assault. The collision between the two forces caused a massive earthquake, shaking the very earth. In the blink of an eye, Shen Ruyan and the shadowy figure exchanged hundreds of blows. The shattered lightning and calamity mist formed a chaotic storm for miles, filling the air with violent energy. This was no small encounter. It was comparable to the battle between the 4 Earth Immortals and the Black Shadow the two sects had fought earlier. It was clear now that this calamity weapon was the same one discovered by the Xianxia and Taida immortal sects in the ruins. The two sects had fought fiercely for it, and by coincidence, it had now clashed with Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Perhaps it had sensed the presence of another calamity weapon and was drawn here to attack. Jiang Chengxuan didn't intervene directly. He sensed there was something more to this. He felt that this encounter with the weapon was a trial, testing whether the challengers could tame the power of the calamity weapon. He communicated with Shen Ruyan through a transmission, instructing her to take the lead while he supported her from the side. If the calamity weapon's power was to be tamed, he wanted Shen Ruyan to have the opportunity. After another intense exchange, the shadowy figure, sensing the pressure, grew desperate and expanded the calamity weapon to an impossible size, swinging it with immense force. The air cracked, and the surrounding space shattered as the weapon's power tore through everything in its path. Shen Ruyan, undeterred, summoned her full strength, activating her domain to its utmost potential. 9-colored lightning surged from her, coalescing into giant, celestial hands that clamped down on the monstrous axe. Boom! With a deafening roar, a flood of lightning devoured the heavens and earth. The calamity power twisted into a storm, shaking the ground and splitting the mountains. Shen Ruyan's face was stern as she guided her divine abilities, channeling streams of lightning to bite into the shadowy figure, slowly eroding its essence. Finally, with a precise strike of her fingers, she sent a lightning sword hurtling through the air, piercing the shadowy figure's head and causing it to disintegrate into a massive black sandstorm, which merged back into the earth. Buzz! At that moment, the calamity weapon contracted, shrinking from its massive size back to its original form, and broke free from Shen Ruyan's grasp. It flew toward her, its black light flickering as it found its way into her hands. Chapter 1532, Celestial Lord's Descent, Mysterious Fog Wall /1. The moment the calamity weapon was in her hands, Shen Ruyan immediately sensed the will behind it. The calamity aura that had once raged within the figure's grasp now retracted, coiling around the blade of the weapon, cold and foreboding, but no longer affecting her. Master, the calamity weapon seems to have recognized me. After a brief moment of shock, Shen Ruyan's eyes sparkled with joy. She turned to Jiang Chengxuan with a delighted expression. The thunderous sea of energy behind her dissipated as Shen Ruyan quickly approached Jiang Chengxuan, her form flashing as she stood before him. "Ha, congratulations, madam, for claiming this earth immortal treasure," Jiang Chengxuan said with a smile, pleased for her. The calamity weapon in Shen Ruyan's hands flickered with sharp light, producing a faint humming sound, as small cracks began to form in the space around them, showcasing its immense sharpness. Buzz! At that moment, Jiang Chengxuan also summoned his own calamity weapon. A pitch-black sword materialized in his hand, crackling with dark energy. The two calamity weapons resonated with each other, their auras intermingling, sending ripples through the air as they vibrated and hummed in unison. "This calamity weapon seems different from the usual ones," Jiang Chengxuan observed, feeling the energy fluctuations. "When I first obtained my calamity weapon, I had to use calamity energy to refine it before unleashing its power in combat. It was only after my cave heaven was shattered, and I had fused the calamity weapon with my domain that I was able to wield it freely." Shen Ruyan's calamity weapon, however, didn't require any such fusion or consumption of calamity energy to unleash its power. This made Jiang Chengxuan suspect. Perhaps in ancient times, there was an immortal clan that forged calamity weapons, with methods to perfectly control them, but those techniques were lost during the turmoil of history. This might have been the normal, unaltered state of a perfect calamity weapon, he thought. There was so much they still didn't know about these mysterious ancient treasures. "Perhaps one day we can find the opportunity to study this further," Jiang Chengxuan said, a spark of interest in his eyes as he gazed at the two weapons. With his current strength, he could now reach for things that once seemed out of his grasp. Meanwhile, on the other side of the secret realm, the three Earth immortal ancestors of the Xianxia sect, who had been trekking for a long time, finally arrived at a mysterious location. They were now standing in the middle of a vast, barren plain, surrounded by scorched earth stretching endlessly. Not a trace of life could be seen. Long, black strands grew from the ground like twisted hair, drifting in the air without wind, creating a strange, eerie scene. Yet despite this, the treasures in their hands, their ritual seals, glowed with intense light. Purple, mystical energy pierced the surrounding darkness, radiating a blinding heat. This sight filled the three men with excitement and awe, their gazes conflicted with a mix of greed and reverence. "This is it, this is the place the Great One spoke of," one of the Xianxia sect elders exclaimed. "The forbidden power is hidden here, deep within. Once we gain this power, the gates of the ancient realm will open to us." They hovered low over the dark plain, their excitement barely contained as they proceeded, whispering eagerly to each other. After traveling a long distance, passing through several waves of black mist, they seemed to reach the end of the plain. There, a massive wall made of mist, like a cloudy barrier, stretched from the earth to the heavens, blocking their path. Around them, the air was thick with fog, even earth immortal cultivators unable to see through it. Before them, the misty wall churned and roiled, as if it had a life of its own, breathing in and out, occasionally releasing bursts of blinding light. The atmosphere here was raw and untamed, like it belonged to a time long past, not this world. Standing before this wall, the three Xianxia sect elders held their breath, their eyes burning with anticipation, not daring to make a sound. The ritual seals in their hands shifted, seemingly coming to life, as strokes of light detached from them, swaying like tails in the air. It seemed as though something on the other side of the mist wall was responding to the changes in their ritual seals, distorting the world and growing heavier with each passing moment. As the light flickered, they saw a vague silhouette moving behind the mist. It appeared to be the tail of an enormous serpent, but with a giant hand placed upon the fog wall. Thud, thud, thud. The booming sounds echoed like drum beats, and the mist wall churned even more violently, as if boiling. The space between them rippled, and a flood of runes appeared, casting golden light across the sky. The symbols spiraled and danced, painting the heavens with brilliant, dazzling colors. The power of these runes stabilized the swirling fog, and a deep, rumbling roar emerged from within, soon fading into silence. Clearly, the three Xianxia sect elders had come here specifically to find the mysterious entity behind the fog wall, and this barrier had sealed it away. "Quickly set up the formation and summon the Great One," one of the elders said urgently, as they sensed the ritual seal's energy calm down, preparing to perform the summoning. Chapter 1533, Celestial Lord's Descent, Mysterious Fog Wall /2. Upon hearing the command, the other two Xianxia sect elders acted without hesitation. They took out a square platform from their storage rings and infused it with their original power. In an instant the sky above them roiled with clouds, and the platform expanded dramatically, growing to a size of 1,000 feet. With a mighty crash, it fell to the ground. The object was a ritual altar, crafted from precious immortal materials, essentially a magical artifact used to set up various formations. It was black and white in color, with the upper portion clear and the lower part murky, pulsating as energy flowed through it. Occasionally, various ominous and powerful visions manifested on the altar, depicting scenes of natural disasters, cataclysmic destruction, and the roars of ancient beasts tearing through space in an inferno. It resembled animated ink paintings, vividly bringing these scenes to life, while exuding a sense of ancient, boundless power that made the entire world feel barren. Huh? With a collective shout, the three Earth immortal ancestors of the Xianxia sect activated their domains, each revealing a shattered continent behind them. Black mist swirled, and the energy of calamity surged around them. As they descended, bathed in dark light, they took their positions on the altar, one in each of the three marked areas. Set the formation, offer the heavenly treasure. The next moment, their figures blurred as they moved with incredible speed, leaving afterimages as they circled the altar. Each step they took carried with it their essence, leaving faint footprints on the altar as though performing an eerie ritual dance. Simultaneously, they used the calamity energy to refine various immortal materials, transforming them into dust and spiritual liquids. They poured them onto the altar, creating dazzling, colorful light that formed intricate patterns across the surface. The symbols slowly filled the entire altar, and even the Earth immortal ancestors of the Xianxia sect grew slightly fatigued as they worked, feeling their original powers draining. But instead of complaint, they grew even more excited, pressing forward until the symbols covered the altar. Finally, the three stood together at the center of the altar, completing their task. At that moment, the once black and white altar had transformed, now shimmering with light like molten glass, exuding terrifying energy. The sound of booming power reverberated through the air, shaking the heavens. Around the altar, a strange, blurry force surrounded it, making it feel as though it were not of this world, almost like it came from the distant past, where time and space were distorted. Even the three Earth immortal ancestors felt a sense of unease as they gazed at the altar, the air heavy with anticipation. "Celestial Lord above, Master of the universe, the altar is prepared," they chanted in unison, their voices filled with reverence as they knelt at the center of the altar. They then raised their arms, inscribing the ancient ritual marks onto their skin with their immortal power, using their blood to deepen the inscriptions. The blood, glowing faintly, flowed down their arms and fell onto the altar, entering a complex carving. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the winds began to howl, and a mysterious force from the nine heavens slammed down into the altar. The altar activated with explosive force, light spilling out at an astonishing speed. The energy erupted, breaking through the space that confined it, tearing the mist apart. The multicolored symbols on the altar wriggled, almost as if alive. Alive. Under the immense pressure, the three Earth immortal ancestors of the Xianxia sect couldn't hold back their screams. They felt their immortal power and original energy slowly being drawn into the altar, seeping down into the unknown realm. A sense of fatigue and unease filled their hearts, but they continued the ritual, unwilling to stop. Their teeth were clenched, determined to finish what they had started. From the nine heavens above, they could feel a powerful, foreign presence descending, slowly unlocking a restriction in the world. Boom, boom. The entire realm, which had been silent, suddenly began to stir again. The fog wall shook, responding to the overwhelming energy from the altar. The once still space now roiled with chaotic winds, and the altar's power grew ever more terrifying. The three Earth immortals felt their strength faltering as their energies depleted, even their domains beginning to collapse. In that moment, as everything seemed on the brink of collapse, one of the Xianxia sect elders fell to the ground, unconscious. The altar's energy wavered, and the sky-piercing light dimmed, slowly dissipating after the massive force that had almost torn the world apart. For a moment the two remaining elders stood frozen, gasping for breath, unsure whether they had succeeded or failed. If they had failed, what would happen to them when the powerful entity they had summoned returned their judgment? One of the fallen elders suddenly sighed and stirred. His eyes slowly opened, and an unfamiliar energy pulsed within him, causing his companions to gasp in disbelief. Celestial Lord, the two remaining elders whispered, their voices filled with awe as they observed the drastic change in their comrade. Yes, the transformed figure replied coldly, standing up from the altar. He looked at his own body as if it were a foreign object, devoid of emotion. Welcome, Celestial Lord. We have located the Xianxia immortal artifact. Please examine it, they eagerly exclaimed, bowing low. The figure, now transformed, spoke in a hoarse voice. It was clear that the original person had been replaced by something far more powerful. You have done well, the transformed figure said, his voice heavy, yet different from the elders. The two elders exchanged glances, filled with immense excitement. They had no time to ask about the fate of their comrade. The chance to stand before the Celestial Lord was all they cared about now. At that moment, Jiang Chengxuan, deeply attuned to the energy of the secret realm, suddenly turned toward a distant area. I sense something. It's coming, he murmured, his gaze narrowing as a powerful, unfamiliar presence descended. Chapter 1534. Sudden Change in the Secret Realm, Celestial Immortal Confrontation /1. Master, what is it that you sense? Shen Ruyan asked with a concerned look, noticing Jiang Chengxuan's serious expression. Jiang Chengxuan shared his suspicions with her, and together, they immediately changed direction, flying toward the source of the strange energy explosion. However, no sooner had they set off than a sudden and terrifying transformation took place. Boom! In the distant, gray skies, a massive pillar of light shot up into the heavens. The intensity of the explosion was so immense, it seemed as if it could pierce the very heavens, unleashing terrifying energy and power that surged violently toward the sky. In a single instant, the entire desolate secret realm was illuminated by this beam of light, as though a massive sun had risen from the earth, filling the sky. The scorching light seemed to want to burn everything on the land. A wave of shock swept over the entire realm as every cultivator within it felt a sense of dread. Their hearts trembled in awe as the scene unfolded before them. Before anyone could react, the ground trembled violently, accompanied by deafening roars that filled the air. The space seemed to distort, the sound of the explosion rushing directly into their consciousness, shaking their very minds. The tremors spread, causing a massive earthquake that rippled through most of the secret realm. Towering mountains collapsed in an instant, becoming a rain of boulders. Massive fissures, resembling the roots of some colossal creature, began to split the land, stretching deep into the earth, as though attempting to tear the very fabric of the world itself. This wave of destruction was so overwhelming that even the various otherworldly beasts of the realm could not remain calm. Their habitats were destroyed, and some were even buried by falling rocks or struck by the shockwaves. As the tremors slowly subsided from the shattered mountains and lands, countless massive black beasts emerged, towering and enraged, their roars echoing through the realm. These enormous creatures, born from the secret realm's power, reacted violently to the light from the pillar, charging in fury. What's going on? What is this? Run, they've gone mad, run. We're doomed, Elder, they're going crazy. The various cultivators within the secret realm were the first to be caught in the fury of these creatures. They looked up in horror at the shadowy figures blotting out the sky, their eyes wide with disbelief. These beasts, who had been present all along but had seemingly ignored the cultivators, were now enraged. Every person they laid eyes on was at risk of being torn apart. In the blink of an eye, a massacre unfolded throughout the secret realm as cultivators fled in desperation, trying to escape the onslaught of the creatures. Across the shattered mountains and valleys, the black beasts rampaged, whipping up storms of calamity energy as they pursued the terrified cultivators. The beasts' terrifying power made it nearly impossible for normal cultivators to fight back. Those who couldn't flee fast enough were devoured on the spot. The beasts' aggression, heightened by the celestial light pillar, even caused them to turn on each other. Their immense strength clashed with explosive force, creating violent battles that shook the skies and churned the earth, spreading massive black clouds in every direction. Wherever they fought, the space turned dark and devastated, as black winds tore through everything, causing complete chaos in the secret realm. Damn it, what's happening to this secret realm? What's that power? Even I feel uneasy. We can't stay here. The beasts are attacking. The three major sects of the eastern continent were also struggling to cope with the onslaught. With their larger numbers, they were easier targets for the frenzied beasts. In the midst of these attacks, Earth immortal ancestors from the sects stepped forward to fend off the beasts, buying time for their disciples to retreat. However, with the entire secret realm now in chaos, there was no clear escape. The sects fought and retreated, only to stumble into another territory of the rampaging beasts, suffering heavy casualties. The Earth immortal ancestors, enraged by the situation, stopped holding back, summoning their strongest immortal treasures and using their domains to battle the beasts. They fought desperately, causing massive celestial clashes that blotted out the sky and shook the very foundations of the realm. Another wave of terrifying chaotic storms, coupled with collapsing mountains, seemed to threaten the complete destruction of the realm. This immense aura, the Xuan immortal artifact, must be right there, one of the elders exclaimed. But someone must have triggered the seal, causing the entire secret realm to react. Even Jiang Chengshuan and Shen Ruyan, caught in the turmoil, paused in their flight, both surprised by the unfolding events. Amid the chaos, Jiang Chengshuan felt several unfamiliar energy signatures. He realized that a sealing force was slowly being undone, and something was about to be unleashed. The pillar of light, it seemed, was the resistance of this sealed force, which perhaps sensed that what it had confined was about to break free and was attempting to destroy the entire secret realm in the process. Chapter 1535. Sudden Change in the Secret Realm, Celestial Immortal Confrontation /2. There's no time to waste, let's go, Master, Shen Ruyan said, her voice filled with urgency as she noticed Jiang Chengshuan's serious expression. Yes, be careful, Jiang Chengshuan replied, and without hesitation, the two turned and quickly made their way toward the source of the strange energy, tearing through the space of the secret realm to open a portal and move forward. They followed Jiang Chengshuan's keen senses, which guided them toward the location of the celestial light pillar. They moved with incredible speed, crossing through layer upon layer of barriers as they headed for the source. Boom! Meanwhile, at the location where the Xianxia sect's three Earth immortal ancestors had set up the altar earlier, the massive light pillar exploded from this very spot. The fog wall, which had once been like a towering chasm, was now fully ablaze with energy. One by one, golden symbols burned brightly, forming an array that unleashed powerful forces. Behind this array, loud booms echoed, as though something within was violently trying to break free. Hezeli. The Earth immortal possessed by the celestial being of the Xianxia sect chuckled sinisterly as he stood atop the altar. Beneath him, the altar had been mostly dismantled, now consisting of large stone pillars planted into the ground, forming an intricate formation. Each stone pillar was charged with intense calamity energy, creating black voids within them that reflected scenes of destruction and chaos. These ominous powers collided with the massive fog wall that had been sealing something away, hastening its eventual breach. Thanks to being in this immortal domain, I've been granted this opportunity. Truly, the heavens are helping me. The figure possessing the Xianxia sect elder grew more excited as the chaotic energy surged. Buzz! But just as the energy intensified, a sudden ripple in the air shattered the moment. A sharp tearing sound pierced the chaotic realm as two figures slowly emerged from a newly opened portal in the highlands. Instantly, the three Xianxia sect ancestors noticed the disturbance. Their eyes narrowed as they turned to see a man and woman standing in the void, exuding powerful and unmatched auras. Who are you? How did you get here? One of the Xianxia sect elders demanded, stepping forward and glaring at Jiang Chengshuan and Shen Ruyan. The elders' confusion was apparent. The area had been tightly sealed off, and without the influence of the stone pillars, there should have been no way for Jiang Chengshuan and Shen Ruyan to enter. However, Jiang Chengshuan, with his extraordinary abilities, had no trouble entering the realm, even in its fractured state. His powers made it as easy as reaching into a pocket. Ignoring the elder's inquiry, Jiang Chengshuan focused his attention on the figure among the three elders. The figure turned, and their gazes met. The eyes were deep and hollow, filled with a mix of surprise and concern. Someone from the ancient realm, Jiang Chengshuan mused aloud. Celestial immortal, the celestial being in the Xianxia sect elder's body said, his eyes narrowing with sudden realization. Almost simultaneously, Jiang Chengshuan and the possessed Xianxia sect elder shared the same suspicion. While Jiang Chengxuan was intrigued and somewhat entertained by the situation, the elder's expression darkened, his unease growing. He had not expected a celestial immortal to appear in the Xuanming immortal domain, and this revelation made him feel exposed. When Jiang Chengxuan mentioned the ancient realm, the elder's heart grew heavy with suspicion and fear. This meant Jiang Chengxuan had been in contact with the ancient realm, positioning him as someone who was already at a high level. "I suggest you mind your own business," the elder sneered after a brief silence. "Breaking through to celestial immortal doesn't make one invincible. I trust you understand that. This matter is part of the ancient realm scheme. I hope you don't make a mistake by getting involved." Jiang Chengxuan smirked in response, his expression indifferent. He wasn't concerned by threats. He knew that the elder was only trying to intimidate him, bluffing with empty words. "Isn't it said that people from the ancient realm aren't allowed to interfere in the Xuanming immortal domain? Why are you acting so boldly, pretending everyone else is a fool?" Jiang Chengxuan's sharp words caused the elder to falter. A chill ran down his spine as he recognized that Jiang Chengxuan knew more than he had expected. It became clear that Jiang Chengxuan had broken through to celestial immortal without going to the ancient realm, and that made him a formidable opponent. The elder's glare turned murderous. The pressure in the air grew intense as the two exchanged tense words. The elder spoke through gritted teeth, "So you refuse to show respect." Without warning, the elder stepped forward, 100 miles in a single stride, standing tall in the void. His aura exploded, like a lake of darkness spilling into the sky, blocking the light. "You are in the Xuanming immortal domain, and you are not welcome here," Jiang Chengxuan said coldly, his face hardening. "This place is mine, and those from the ancient realm are nothing more than passing strangers. Just a mere mortal from the lower realms, speaking so arrogantly. Let me show you the difference between the ancient realm's methods and yours." With a roar, the elder unleashed his power. His celestial immortal force surged into the sky, shattering the void with immense force. The entire secret realm trembled as the energy clashed, and the sky darkened, casting everything into shadow. The power of a celestial immortal was overwhelming. As the force exploded, the entire secret realm seemed to feel its presence, shaking violently. Cultivators still in the realm felt the ground shudder, and the sky seemed to go black as if trapped in an eternal night. What power is this?" they whispered in fear, knowing that the secret realm was on the brink of total collapse. Chapter 1536. The Battle of the Celestial Immortals, the mysterious object appears. The might of the celestial immortal erupted within the secret realm, shaking the entire world and causing countless beings to tremble. The person from the ancient realm, although relying on divine summoning techniques, had made various preparations and arrangements. In this form, they could exert their full strength. In an instant, the entire vast secret realm felt the presence of the heavenly lord's aura. Many of the beasts and cultivators who were in the midst of battle stopped at once, uncertain and alarmed. Even the earth immortal experts from the three great immortal sects couldn't help but inhale sharply, their expressions filled with confusion and unease. All eyes turned toward the towering beam of light, only to see the entire space becoming hazy, distorted by an unprecedented force, as if 1,000 layers of veils were obscuring it, making it hard to look at directly. Even the shattered column of light, which had torn apart the secret realm, seemed to bend under the influence of a powerful force, twisted and contorted. They didn't know what had happened, but they could sense that under this force, their centuries of cultivation felt as fragile as a leaf, easily severed. Immediately, many shadowy beasts quickly retreated, hiding in the cracks of the earth, no longer howling to the heavens or raging against the world. The cultivators, too, used this moment to retreat, hiding behind the protection of various immortal treasures. "This is a grand chess game. We are blinded by greed, becoming mere pawns on the board. What kind of force could possess such terrifying power?" In an instant, the ancestors of the three great immortal sects vaguely began to suspect that this matter was beyond their control. They all regretted their actions and felt a deep sense of despondency. But now, the entire secret realm had fallen into chaos, and their fates were tied to the mysterious column of light. All they could do was secretly observe and pray, hoping for an opportunity to escape with their lives, and never look back. Boom! In the eerie plain, the entire world was engulfed by endless chaotic currents. The heavens darkened, and a dark star cast its oppressive presence over the 9 skies. With deafening roars, the black sun fire raged, burning fiercely, causing the space to sizzle and crackle. The area where Jiang Chengxuan had been earlier was consumed by endless black flames, warping both space and time. Various strange phenomena appeared, all breathtaking. Is this all you have? However, before the people of the immortal tribulation gate could rejoice, Jiang Chengxuan's cold voice broke through the chaos, his expression darkening. A ray of pale white light suddenly pierced through the eternal night that had enveloped the world. A vast white starry path broke free from the fiery cocoon, cleaving through the seals. It surged toward the black sun, like a white-feathered arrow shooting toward the sun. Amidst the crackling lightning and fire, the celestial immortal's might was fully displayed, not inferior to that of the immortal tribulation gate's celestial lord. Where the light passed, the black flames extinguished, replaced by white flames, and light was restored. At that moment, the immortal tribulation gate's celestial lord was shocked. He didn't dare let his guard down, hastily forming hand seals. Behind him, the power of his cave sky surged, transforming into a series of black meteorites to block the white light. The world trembled with successive explosions as Jiang Chengxuan and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate exchanged the first wave of attacks, bringing the battle to a temporary halt. Though neither of them used their full strength, merely testing the waters, the immortal tribulation gate's celestial lord felt his heart tighten. He could feel Jiang Chengxuan's power far surpassed his expectations. Jiang Chengxuan didn't resemble a mere newly ascended celestial immortal. Despite the test, his celestial energy was vast, and his cave sky's power was not inferior to that of the immortal tribulation gate's celestial lord. It was as if they were on equal footing. Had he not known about Jiang Chengxuan from the memories of the immortal tribulation gate's ancestors, he might have thought that Jiang Chengxuan was from the ancient realm. You're impressive. But today, I'll show you that even among celestial immortals, there are differences in power. Looking at Jiang Chengxuan, unharmed and carrying the vast white starry domain on his back, the immortal tribulation gate's elder sneered angrily. His voice was domineering as he roared. Once the bow is drawn, there is no turning back. Regardless of Jiang Chengxuan's performance, the elder was determined to suppress him. In the blink of an eye, the immortal tribulation gate's celestial lord launched a ferocious attack, summoning his immortal treasure. It was a weapon of tribulation, a massive dark spear forged from shadowy materials, its cold light chilling and menacing. Once the weapon manifested, the surrounding space collapsed, unable to withstand the force, becoming a deep void surrounding the spear's edge. Boom! A black thunderous roar exploded, carrying enough power to collapse the entire world, and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate, wielding the tribulation weapon, arrived in an instant. Wham! He swung the weapon, causing a sharp, explosive sound to reverberate through the heavens, like a deafening magical resonance. The tribulation power surged as if countless hands gathered the force and channeled it into the spear. The might of the attack was terrifying, instantly shattering hundreds of miles of space. Even the pressure from the attack made Jiang Chengxuan feel as though he had been struck by a mountain. Heavy. I too want to see just how great this so-called gap truly is. With his robes fluttering, Jiang Chengxuan showed no fear, sneering and speaking calmly. After refining the Bodhi seed, he was no longer afraid of beings from the ancient realm. In fact, he was eager to personally test how far the gap truly was. Chapter 1537. The Battle of the Celestial Immortals, the Mysterious Object Appears Part 2. How vast was the gap between them? Now, undoubtedly, this was the best opportunity to find out. Buzz. Faced with the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate's killing move, Jiang Chengxuan did not retreat a single step. From above his cave sky, he summoned the tribulation weapon, which shot out like a sharp azure dragon from the white galaxy. The tribulation weapon, a demon blade, glowed brilliantly in his hand, its blade extending rapidly, quickly covering the white world he had created. It then slashed toward the massive black halberd in the sky. Endless darkness descended once more. Everyone could only hear the entire secret realm erupting with a deafening hum, and then, through the air, sharp blade chi sliced through the sky, cutting thousands of miles in a single stroke. Each ray of profound light that radiated seemed to tear apart the sky, cleaving through the void, and the heavy, thunderous light spread across the secret realm. Jiang Chengxuan and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate clashed, each strike capable of cutting down 1,000 forms in the blink of an eye. Every move carried the might of a heavenly lord. If not for the special restrictions in this realm, they would have already torn through the world with their power. Despite that, the aftermath of their battle had already suppressed the array that shattered the misty walls and even the towering beam of light that had pierced the sky, causing them to slow down to a crawl. This was a clear sign of how terrifying the clash between the two celestial immortals was. In the brief moments they had fought, the entire secret realm felt as if it was being torn apart by a violent storm. Countless cultivators and demonic beasts retreated, not daring to move, feeling like fragile leaves in a storm, as if they could be devoured and shredded at any moment. Endless calamity. In the blink of an eye, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate roared, his cave sky's power surging as he unleashed a terrifying divine technique. It enveloped the void for hundreds of miles before violently charging toward Xianxia. As the battle continued, the celestial lord's mindset shifted from arrogance to a heavy, cautious one. No longer confident, he abandoned restraint and sought to unleash a thunderous offensive to suppress Xianxia. The latter's combat prowess had exceeded his expectations. It wasn't just the vastness of his primordial energy, but the experience and judgment Xianxia displayed during the battle. Even the various Taoist principles and immortal treasures he wielded made the ancient realm cultivator feel a sense of shock. Such heritage was extraordinary, even in the ancient realm, and the fact that Xianxia could access such power in the Xuanyuan immortal domain made it impossible for him to take the situation lightly. Boom! As the celestial immortal's divine technique erupted, the entire secret realm once again trembled. The black sun-like cave sky revealed itself, transforming into a mysterious and eerie world, difficult to discern. Endless calamity energy surged out, changing shape in the void, forming various symbols and intensifying their power. For a moment it appeared like a dark, swirling kaleidoscope, constantly shifting. In an intangible way, a willful force pierced toward Xianxia's consciousness. Even with his steadfast Tao heart, he felt a slight sting. Summon. Without waiting for him to react, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate completed the divine technique, and the mysterious symbols that enveloped the world shifted, descending toward Xianxia. The terrifying power unleashed various forms of destruction, and wherever it passed, the void crumbled. Cycle of life and death, the eternal end. Seeing this, Xianxia still did not retreat. He wanted to test his own strength. His cave sky appeared behind him, transforming into a white void-like world, glowing with profound light. He summoned the perfected Tao of life and death and the Tao of reincarnation, weaving them into a grand road that spanned the 9 heavens. After stepping into the realm of the celestial immortal, Xianxia had mastered numerous Tao paths, fusing the Tao of life and death with the Tao of reincarnation, releasing powers closer to the very essence of the universe. In the blink of an eye, chaos erupted in the void. Giant symbols emerged, creating a kaleidoscope with a completely different aura. Then, under Xianxia's sharp gaze, the Tao of life and death and reincarnation evolved to its peak, revealing cycles of death and rebirth over countless eons. The process was silent, yet it contained immense power as it surged through thousands of miles of the void, clashing with the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate's attack. Boom! Boom! The collision of the two celestial immortals, divine techniques caused unprecedented devastation, nearly overturning the entire secret realm's dome. Everything was consumed by blinding light. Within the secret realm, it seemed as though only black and white existed, coloring everything in sight and stripping all powers of their identity. The hidden elders and disciples of the immortal sects in various parts of the secret realm, as well as the ancestors of the 3 great immortal sects, all had the same shocked expression, their minds shaken by the overwhelming power. Especially the ancestors of the 3 great sects, who, after breaking through to the earth immortal realm, never imagined that they would one day feel as small as ants on the roadside. This, who is battling, I can't even imagine it. Such power, does it really exist? For a moment, everyone instinctively murmured in disbelief, their bodies trembling. They noticed that the sky had completely transformed, resembling a mudded pit of mixed elements, utterly disturbed by the forces of the collision. At the heart of it all, where Xianxia and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate stood, the landscape had entirely shifted into an abyss of nothingness. The entire plateau had been torn apart by their power, revealing a terrifying and savage underworld, a vast black curtain formed by countless shadowy streams, interwoven in chaos. but within it were countless fine golden symbols, exquisitely etched into the black curtain, forming an enormous script scattered across the sky. This sudden and mysterious scene stunned both Jiang Chengxuan and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate. They had not expected such a profound object to exist below. So that's it, so that's what it is. The celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate stood frozen for a while before his expression shifted to one of joy. His eyes burned with fervor as he stared at the massive script, muttering to himself. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan had an inkling of the hidden secrets within the secret realm. No matter what, this mysterious script-like presence was no ordinary object. It was the very foundation of this barrier, the source that had sealed away the power of the misty walls. Roar! Just as Jiang Chengxuan and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate were lost in their thoughts, a roar suddenly reverberated through the heavens and earth, its terrifying might distorting the space and further complicating the battle. This was the presence from beyond the mist. Suddenly, the misty walls were torn open by a colossal shadow, something charging out at lightning speed, attacking one of the hidden elders of the immortal tribulation gate. No, ancestor, save me. Before the elder could react, his desperate scream was abruptly cut short as the massive shadow swallowed him whole and dragged him back behind the misty walls. At that moment, everyone finally saw what had grabbed the immortal tribulation gate's elder, a gigantic arm, thousands of meters wide, like a hybrid of a human hand and a beast's claw, composed of countless intertwined shadows. It was chaotic and horrifying. Clearly, as the barrier weakened, part of its power had managed to break free, and it had seized the elder. The sounds of bones cracking echoed, indicating the fate that awaited him. This sudden, horrifying twist left the last Earth immortal of the immortal tribulation gate utterly chilled. Panicked, he sprang from the battlefield and fled, not daring to look back. Jiang Chengxuan did not intervene, instead exchanging a glance with Shen Ruyan, signaling her to pursue. As for the celestial immortal of the immortal tribulation gate, Jiang Chengxuan showed no interest in him whatsoever. From the beginning, he had no personal attachment to the people of the immortal tribulation gate. They were simply pawns he had placed in the Xianxia immortal domain, and once they had served their purpose, their survival or death had nothing to do with him. Chapter 1538. The First Encounter with the Primordial Chaos, Defeating the Celestial Immortal, Part 1. The mysterious existence beyond the misty wall suddenly emerged, leaving Jiang Chengxuan stunned for a moment. As he watched Shen Ruyan chasing after the celestial immortal of the immortal tribulation gate, who was fleeing in panic, a mocking smile appeared on his face. He turned to the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate and spoke. Is this how your so-called force has abandoned its backup plan, the Xianxia immortal domain? Hearing this, the celestial lord responded coldly, his hollow eyes showing no emotion. A mere earth immortal, one can have as many as they want. Once they fulfill their mission, they are nothing. His words were domineering, showing utter disdain for the Xianxia immortal domain. To him, even earth immortals were as inconsequential as weeds by the roadside. Heavy. Jiang Chengxuan understood the cold-blooded nature of the celestial lord and chose not to say more, abandoning his psychological tactics. It seemed that after staying too long in the ancient realm, some people had forgotten their origins, seeing the Xianxia immortal domain as a stepping stone, not their homeland. Roar! Before the two could continue their conversation, the mysterious shadow beyond the mist wall devoured an earth immortal, letting out another roar, full of satisfaction. It seemed that the shadow struck the mist wall with a mighty fist, shaking the entire realm. The golden symbols on the mist wall glowed, shining like stars and rippled like waves, extending down to the vast black curtain of scriptures under their feet. The plane was entirely overturned, revealing a massive scripture which was undoubtedly part of the sealing formation. As the scripture fully revealed itself, it released a power far greater than before, easily enveloping the heavens and earth. Even Jiang Chengxuan could feel a strange, sacred aura. At this point, Jiang Chengxuan had nearly confirmed his suspicions. The true object of the Xianxia immortal domain's interest was not the mysterious existence hiding behind the mist wall, but the scripture, which had transformed into the barrier's formation. The mysterious entity beyond the mist wall was clearly sealed by this scripture. Although its origins were unknown, it was undoubtedly linked to the immortal tribulation gate's forces. This explained everything. why the secret realm where the true celestial immortal object resided was so eerily desolate, devoid of life. There were no treasures to be found, only strange and dangerous demonic beasts. The secret realm was not formed by the power of the celestial immortal object, but was influenced by the mysterious force beyond the mist wall. It was inherently evil and bizarre, which explained the numerous dangers and destruction. The immortal tribulation gate's forces were not interested in the celestial immortal object, but rather in the mysterious power beyond the mist wall. Yet, there was still one mystery Jiang Chengxuan couldn't unravel: the origin of the calamity energy, which even the ancient realm seemed to harbor. Even the immortal tribulation gate had adopted it as part of their cultivation methods. But Jiang Chengxuan wouldn't ask, and the immortal tribulation gate members wouldn't answer. In the blink of an eye, the two were lost in their thoughts, and their energy began to clash silently once more. After some exchanges, Jiang Chengxuan had confirmed that his power was now on par with the ancient realm cultivator before him. This was the perfect moment for battle and honing his skills. Roar! However, breaking the calm was the mysterious entity beyond the mist wall. In the blink of an eye, the golden mist wall trembled violently. The gigantic black hand emerged once again, reaching over the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate and blocking the sun as it grabbed toward Jiang Chengxuan. The hand, composed of eerie black shadows, seemed both real and illusory, constantly shifting in form. Although it was entangled by golden symbol chains, its power was terrifying, rivaling that of a celestial immortal. Its energy was even more sinister than calamity energy, filling the air with a destructive and desolate aura, draining the strength of all Taoist principles it touched, leaving only silence in its wake. 10,000 Laws Divine Wheel. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sharpened, his fighting spirit rising. His cave sky manifested behind him, transforming into a white void-like world, where the five elements shifted and life-death reincarnation unfolded. Countless Taoist forces fused perfectly, and using heavenly source power as a foundation, it formed a chaotic divine wheel, burning with 1,000 hues of light. In an instant, Jiang Chengxuan flicked his finger, and the divine wheel descended from the cave sky. It expanded in an instant, then contracted just as quickly, resembling shackles, tightening around the massive black claw, burning it with countless Taoist energies. Howl! The attack forced a painful howl from the entity beyond the mist wall, and the giant claw trembled violently. Black mist exploded around it, trying to shake off the divine flame. But the flames, fused from countless Taoist energies, clung to it like relentless maggots, burning eternally. Far away, the cultivators hiding and spying could only see the light of 1,000 flames turning into molten lava, falling through the void, and creating a dazzling and mysterious fire in the 9 heavens. The terrifying aura scorched the void, twisting it into nothingness, and the entangled powers made the scene blinding and dizzying. Buzz! Just as this occurred, a murderous aura suddenly rose from beside Jiang Chengxuan. A streak of dark, mysterious light broke through the barrier and slashed diagonally from left to right toward Jiang Chengxuan. The tribulation weapon, a massive halberd, struck with the force of 1,000,000 pounds, shattering the void and aiming for Jiang Chengxuan's chin in a cunning and lethal manner. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan knew he had to divide his attention. He reined in his power from the divine wheel and instead gripped the tribulation demon blade with one hand, blocking the halberd with a swift strike. Chapter 1539. The First Encounter with the Primordial Chaos, Defeating the Celestial Immortal, Part 2. Boom! In the darkness, a thunderous roar echoed as the massive celestial immortal power split the heavens, sending ripples in all directions. With a single strike, Jiang Chengxuan and the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate both wielded their tribulation weapons, conjuring countless afterimages in the void, unleashing a barrage of thunderous strikes. Faced with Jiang Chengxuan's overwhelming strength, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate was unwilling to accept defeat. He could not believe that after so many years of cultivation in the ancient realm, he, a celestial immortal, could not overpower a mere newly ascended celestial immortal from the Xuanyuan immortal domain. For the sake of his Dao heart, he had to fight to the bitter end and decide the outcome with Jiang Chengxuan. However, this did not mean he would confront Jiang Chengxuan directly in a fair battle. As they clashed again, the giant black claw beyond the mist wall pressed down with immense evil energy, attempting to smother the divine wheel with endless black shadows, covering the wheel with oppressive force. Once it had subdued the wheel, The claw did not retreat, but instead struck again with a burst of rage, aiming a vengeful blow at Jiang Chengxuan. It descended from the 9 heavens with a crushing uppercut, shattering the space beneath it and stirring a pitch-black storm that reverberated through the entire world. At the same time, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate launched a sudden attack. He activated his divine powers and fired a stream of astonishing dark light from his cave sky, enveloping the space for 1,000 miles, trapping Jiang Chengxuan in a deadly crossfire. In that instant, Jiang Chengxuan found himself facing the combined threats of 2 celestial immortals. From above and below, terrifying forces came crashing down, intent on obliterating him. Even Jiang Chengxuan's expression turned sharp, and his mind became gravely focused. Even though he had refined the Bodhi seed and gained a significant boost in power, this did not mean he could take on 2 celestial immortals at the same level. Celestial immortals were vastly stronger than Earth immortals, and the path of cultivation became increasingly difficult the higher one climbed. Moreover, these 2 opponents were no ordinary figures. One was from a mysterious force in the ancient realm, and the other was a being sealed by a powerful celestial immortal object. Their strikes were timed with precision, blocking all of Jiang Chengxuan's escape routes. It was impossible to evade. The entire realm was consumed by a wave of darkness, swallowing the white light from above and below. Jiang Chengxuan's cave sky manifestation was suppressed by the overwhelming calamity energy, shrinking down to the size of a small moon. Even the violent power of the celestial immortal couldn't break free from the blockade, which meant that any hopes of using his cave sky to resolve this crisis were dashed. The ancient celestial immortal clearly had no intention of allowing him any chance to escape. This relentless barrage of killing moves, if Jiang Chengxuan were to reflect on it later, would teach him invaluable lessons about battles between celestial immortals. But at this moment, he had no time to ponder such things. Primordial Chaos Sword, summon. In this dire situation, Jiang Chengxuan had no choice but to unleash his strongest trump card, knowing that only by doing so could he find a sliver of hope for survival. In the deep, unfathomable darkness, a clear purple light suddenly appeared. It drew a purple horizon through the blackness, as though the purple chi of dawn was breaking through, heralding the arrival of daybreak. In the blink of an eye, an immensely sharp and terrifying aura burst forth from the purple light, dazzling the entire ruined secret realm with its brilliance. That mysterious, ancient, and vast energy transformed into a massive purple waterfall descending from the 9 heavens, shaking the world and revealing the endless spectacle of the universe's primordial beginning. Stars gathered from the purple light, and the cosmic star systems revolved in an intricate dance. The profound, cryptic intent of the universe pierced through everything. Everyone in the secret realm felt the overwhelming pressure of this aura and was completely stunned, their minds blanked by its intensity. Only Jiang Chengxuan remained unaffected. In his hands, the primordial chaos sword, glowing with the purple essence of the primordial chaos, was summoned. It exuded a terrifying aura as it slashed through the void, heading straight for the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate. The celestial lord sensed the approach of death in an instant. His heart was shaken to its core. He could not fathom how Jiang Chengxuan, a newly ascended celestial immortal from the Xianxia immortal domain, could possess a celestial immortal treasure. How could such a weapon exist in a world like the Xianxia immortal domain? Before he could think any further, the primordial chaos sword easily cleaved through the divine energy stream he had released, as though a purple comet streaking across the sky, leaving a trail of burning light in its wake. Jiang Chengxuan's figure followed the purple light, rapidly closing in on the celestial lord, all the while avoiding the massive black claw that was about to strike from behind. In this crucial moment, Jiang Chengxuan summoned the primordial chaos sword for the first time, breaking the deadlock. The sword's power far exceeded his expectations. Even in the face of celestial immortal-level strength, the sword could cut through everything, like drawing a blade to sever the waters. In the blink of an eye, it even severed a portion of the tribulation halberd that the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate had swung. Boom! Finally, the sword's terrifying force caused the already fragile secret realm to split open, revealing a purple abyssal portal high in the sky. The portal gleamed like a polished mirror. This sight sent waves of excitement through the cultivators of the eastern continent. They were overjoyed, and if it weren't for the overwhelming aftershocks of the battle, they would have eagerly rushed out of the secret realm without hesitation. "This is impossible. How can a mere Xianxia immortal domain possess such power? At this moment, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate wished he could escape immediately, but he could not. His entire body was trapped by the primordial chaos energy, unable to move, only able to roar in helpless rage. In the next instant, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sharpened like a blade. He swung the primordial chaos sword with ruthless precision, effortlessly cutting through the last layer of protective divine energy that surrounded the celestial lord's body, piercing through the very core of the immortal tribulation gate's ancestor. His body was split in two, and an intense purple light burst forth, dividing everything in its path. "Oh yeah, I won't die here, just you wait." In an instant, the energy within his wounds erupted, causing a violent disturbance. Even the dark, black hole-like cave sky shattered as the purple light cut through it. A faint celestial light flew out of the celestial lord's body, rising toward the nine heavens, wrapped in ancient symbols. Jiang Chengxuan recognized the aura. It was the method of crossing into the ancient realm. Clearly, the celestial lord, knowing he was defeated, planned to escape through his primordial spirit. This would severely injure him, leaving him unable to regain his peak strength for countless years. But at least he would live to fight another day, rather than die here. However, his fate was not as simple as he thought. As his primordial spirit reached for the gateway to the ancient realm, an unexpected turn of events occurred. A monstrous, strange energy suddenly erupted, enveloping the celestial lord's primordial spirit. In the celestial lord's terrified and disbelieving gaze, even the ancient realm's method couldn't save him. The energy pierced through the symbols, stripping his primordial spirit from his body and consuming it entirely. Chapter 1540, The Secret Realm Collapses, The Final Battle, Part 1. In the blink of an eye, an unexpected change occurred. Even Jiang Chengxuan was stunned, his brows furrowing in disbelief. Within the thick, dark chaos, tens of thousands of shadowy figures enveloped the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate's primordial spirit, forcibly dragging him toward a specific direction. The one making the move was none other than the mysterious demonic beast that had previously fought alongside the celestial lord to deal with Jiang Chengxuan. This beast, which had been hidden behind the misty barrier, was now attacking the celestial lord's primordial spirit. At this moment, the celestial lord, whose primordial spirit had been separated by Jiang Chengxuan, attempted to escape, but the demonic beast turned on him, intending to devour the celestial lord's soul. "No, what are you doing, you damned beast? You can't devour me, you will die too, stop this now." In the vast void, the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate, who had descended from the ancient realm, was beginning to feel true fear. His frantic shouts echoed, and he struggled in panic, no longer concerned with his former dignity. He was now like an ordinary mortal, terrified and on the verge of losing his mind. But the mysterious beast, hidden behind the misty barrier, showed no fear in response to his threats. Regardless of the celestial lord's resistance, the beast remained indifferent, coldly controlling the storm that dragged the celestial lord closer to the barrier. There, a massive, pitch-black claw punched through the barrier, resembling a gigantic abyssal mouth waiting to swallow its prey. I cannot die." With the celestial lord's last desperate cry, his primordial spirit was completely drawn into the black hole, disappearing without a trace, leaving no ripple behind. A true celestial immortal, a being from an ancient realm power, had unexpectedly and dramatically perished in the very Xianxia immortal domain he had looked down upon. This scene left Jiang Chengxuan with a sense of contemplation. He had just broken through to the celestial immortal realm, and already he had encountered such terrifying and bizarre entities. First, there was the ancient celestial immortal capable of shaking the ancient realm's restrictions. Then there was the mysterious celestial immortal object, followed by an ancient realm celestial immortal, and now, a mysterious demonic beast capable of blocking the ancient realm's methods and devouring celestial immortal primordial spirits. All of this had unfolded within a very short period, giving Jiang Chengxuan a glimpse of the world beyond the celestial immortal realm, a world far from the ideal he had imagined. The celestial immortal had cultivated for millions of years to reach the peak, only to fall in the blink of an eye. How could one not feel sorrow for this fate? Roar, roar! Before Jiang Chengxuan could reflect further, a massive disturbance erupted beyond the mist wall. The roar sounded once again, reverberating like a bell and shaking the very soul. A vast and desolate energy filled the air, as if the destruction of the primordial wilderness was unfolding before their eyes. Boom! The misty barrier shook violently as a dark figure slammed into it, unleashing an immense force that caused the heavens to tremble. Buzz! Immediately, the mist wall's golden glow exploded, reaching its maximum limit. Endless symbols surged and undulated like an invisible, golden tidal wave, creating a massive, overwhelming ocean of energy. Even the massive golden scripture beneath their feet began to move, with each character floating as if imbuing power into the seals of the misty barrier. It was clear that after devouring the celestial immortal's primordial spirit, the mysterious demonic beast's power had greatly increased. With the barrier's energy already weakened, the beast was now preparing to break free from its prison. Boom, boom, boom. The beast's power surged violently, constantly bombarding the barrier, and with each blow, golden torrents shot into the sky, shaking the entire secret realm. At the furthest edge of the realm, cracks began to form, and the boundary began to collapse. After enduring the power of two celestial immortals, this secret realm finally reached its breaking point. As the sealing force wavered, the realm was beginning to disintegrate. No, we must leave. If we don't leave now, there won't be another chance. The secret realm is collapsing. Disciples of the Jade Elephant Immortal sect, follow me. Quick, run. The secret realm is going to be destroyed. Hurry, don't wait. In an instant, the cultivators within the secret realm were thrown into chaos. Terrified and frantic, they no longer hesitated to escape. They unleashed their immortal powers and shot out in all directions, their bodies transforming into brilliant rays of light, charging toward the opening in the barrier created by Jiang Chengxuan's primordial chaos sword. That gap was the only exit from this collapsing realm. Roared! At that moment, the massive shadowy beasts that had been lurking in the secret realm could no longer hold back. They surged out from the cracks, letting out ferocious roars. With their massive size, they would never be able to pass through the narrow gap. If the realm collapsed, they would be trapped, doomed to die. In a fit of rage, the giant shadowy beasts erupted with terrifying calamity energy, transforming into violent storms, intending to devour the fleeing cultivators and perish alongside them. Seeing this, the cultivators were filled with despair, especially the disciples of the immortal sects. The overwhelming aura of death seemed to fall over them, and they felt certain that death was only a moment away. The true immortals and elders stood helpless, their faces twisted in frustration. They could only turn away, unable to watch any longer. However, just as the demonic beasts caused havoc, Jiang Chengxuan acted swiftly. He raised his primordial chaos sword, and in a flash, it cut through the vast expanse of the void, heading straight for the massive, mountain-like beasts. In that instant, purple chi surged from the 9 heavens, as if dawn were breaking across the sky. Chapter 1541. The Secret Realm Collapses, the Final Battle, Part 2. The transcendent force, unfathomable to this realm, manifested as a formless, spreading beam of destructive light, rushing toward its target. Howl! Roar! Wherever it passed, the giant shadowy beasts that once darkened the sky were cleaved in two, as if they were made of soft clay, effortlessly cut through with the ease of a hot knife through butter. It was as though these beasts, who had devoured countless cultivators, were nothing more than fragile sculptures made from earth and clay. Boom, boom, boom. Amid the astonished gazes of countless cultivators, Jiang Chengxuan swung his sword again and again, cutting down the rising shadow beasts one by one, while using his cave sky to absorb their power. In the span of just a few moments, by the time the cultivators managed to take the opportunity and reach the opening Jiang Chengxuan had made, the shadow beasts emerging in the secret realm were nearly all destroyed. Only a handful remained, all taken care of by Jiang Chengxuan. Seeing this, the cultivators were not just shocked, but also filled with awe and reverence. They couldn't help but bow deeply before entering the gap, grateful for the chance to escape this imminent disaster. Jiang Chengxuan, however, merely glanced at them without much inner reaction. His reason for intervening and saving them was not out of a desire to play the hero, but simply because it was a convenient thing to do. If he had allowed the shadow beasts to persist, they would have only been absorbed by the entity beyond the mist wall, strengthening its power further. Thus, Jiang Chengxuan acted preemptively, killing the beasts and saving the cultivators as a side effect, performing a small favor while ensuring his own goals were met. Lord, what happened? At that moment, a figure streaked through the air with a thunderous roar, landing beside Jiang Chengxuan. It was Shen Ruyan, holding the scorched corpse of the last elder from the immortal tribulation gate. Looking around at the chaos, she asked in surprise. Jiang Chengxuan, without hesitation, recounted everything that had happened and his deductions, explaining the situation to her. Afterward, he instructed Shen Ruyan to take refuge in his cave sky, preparing for the final battle in this collapsing secret realm. Not far away, the mysterious demonic beast beyond the mist wall was locked in the fiercest battle with the golden script formation. Dark, chaotic shadows clashed with the golden symbols, each side trying to devour the other, causing the world to flicker between light and darkness. Primordial Chaos Sword Summon. Jiang Chengxuan's gaze hardened, and he decided not to hold back any longer. In an instant, the primordial chaos sword surged with power, and he struck with a flash of purple light, piercing through the hole in the misty barrier at incredible speed. Roar! This action drew the wrath of the mysterious giant beast beyond the mist. It roared in fury, and from the void, a near-solid mass of dazzling black energy burst forth, transforming into countless malevolent spikes, all heading straight for Jiang Chengxuan's divine power. After absorbing the primordial spirit of the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate, the mysterious beast had become even stronger. The released aura was terrifying, and when it collided with the primordial chaos sword's energy, it did not simply shatter. Instead, the two forces intertwined and began to erode each other. This gave Jiang Chengxuan pause. His eyes narrowed. The power of this mysterious beast wasn't just larger. It had evolved to a higher level, no longer fearing even the primordial chaos power. What in the world was this bizarre creature, and where did it come from? If you were at your peak, I might not dare challenge you. But now, trapped in the seal, do you think you can defeat me? Despite the beast's terrifying strength, Jiang Chengxuan remained unshaken, his tone calm as ever. He then summoned the full might of the primordial chaos sword, which exploded in a brilliant display of power. Behind him, his cave sky manifested, radiating boundless light as heaven's source energy surged into the blade, filling the air with a piercing brilliance. Across the heavens, a vast and brilliant purple-golden star river appeared, cutting through the darkness. The sacred aura it emitted was comparable to the beam of light from the misty barrier's seal. With Jiang Chengxuan's command, the primordial chaos sword descended upon the beast with overwhelming might, causing the entire realm to tremble. The enormous force of the primordial chaos power transformed into an infinite sword intent, as if the very starry sky was being swept into the dark void below. Boom! The strike's power surpassed that of a celestial immortal in the early stages, obliterating everything in its path. The dark, sinister spikes shattered like dust, dissipating into the air in a cloud of fine particles. The strike stunned the beast beyond the mist. The powerful wave of energy surged forward, tearing through the barrier and slamming into the giant creature. In a deafening roar, the light of the heavens exploded. A flash of purple light shot up from behind the misty barrier, churning the storm and annihilating the dark energy that filled the space. For a moment, the entire mist wall was illuminated by the primordial chaos sword's energy, piercing through every crack in the barrier, revealing the outline of the mysterious giant beast. The beast stood with its four massive legs planted firmly on the ground, its colossal arms resembling towering mountains. Its body was clearly defined, revealing its terrifying physical power. Its head bore two sets of enormous horns, bound by invisible chains, preventing it from unleashing its full strength. Yet even so, its vicious and violent nature was unmistakable. Roar! In a thundering roar, 6 black holes emerged beyond the mist wall, all locking onto Jiang Chengxuan. These holes were the eyes of the beast. In its fury, the beast temporarily gave up on breaking the seal and turned its focus toward Jiang Chengxuan. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the beast's enormous arms pushed through the mist wall with a massive force, causing the very earth to shake. It then pulled its arms apart, forcibly tearing open a crack in the barrier. Its 6 black, abyss-like eyes unleashed a brilliant, dark torrent of energy, a destructive force older than time itself, rushing toward Jiang Chengxuan and obscuring the sky. The aura of this attack was terrifying, surpassing even the early-stage celestial immortal realm. 10,000 Laws Divine Wheel, Summon. Fortunately, Jiang Chengxuan's reflexes were sharp. Instinctively, he activated the power of his cave sky, weaving together the 5 elements, reincarnation and life-death Tao forces into a divine wheel, sending it crashing into the incoming destructive torrents. The clash of the two celestial immortal powers shook the entire secret realm, causing the farthest reaches of the domain to fracture and collapse into the void. However, this wasn't enough to stop the beast's vengeful strike. Of the 6 torrents, only 2 were blocked by the 10,000 laws' divine wheel, while the other 4 tore through it, shattering the very fabric of space. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes hardened. He swung his primordial chaos sword once again, but this time, the repeated release of power diminished its strength slightly. The massive purple light, both real and illusory, swept across the heavens, clashing with the 4 dark torrents. The unstoppable force of the sword was finally slowed, but it succeeded in splitting the torrents in half, slowly eradicating them. Buzz! At that moment, the secret realm trembled once again, and the tens of thousands of golden seals floating in the air began to move. They formed chains of divine power, piercing through the shattered space and striking the remaining torrents of dark energy. The entire sky suddenly shimmered with a golden net, trapping the darkness, and the glow from Jiang Chengxuan's primordial chaos sword merged with the brilliance of the net. It seemed that the 2 forces were resonating with each other. As the sound of their collision rang through the realm, they grew stronger, like the beginning of chaos, causing waves of energy to ripple through the space. Be suppressed. In that crucial moment, Jiang Chengxuan seized the opportunity, roaring as he unleashed the full power of the primordial chaos sword in its final, devastating strike. Chapter 1542, The Black and White Orbs, the 10,000 Worlds Scripture, Part 1. In the vast, empty void, the once glorious secret realm was slowly collapsing. The destruction of countless Tao forces and the shattering of mountains and rivers reduced them to dust, vanishing into the boundless darkness. The terrifying powers of the celestial immortal realm erupted, completely shattering the secret realm. The forces of various Tao principles were obliterated, unable to maintain the structure of the realm, vanishing before the naked eye at an accelerating pace. Fortunately, with Jiang Chengxuan's intervention, what would have been a death trap turned into an opportunity for many cultivators from the eastern continent to escape. Without this opening, many would have perished in this cataclysmic scene. Even Earth immortals would not have withstood such overwhelming power. Now, in the gradually crumbling secret realm, only one figure remained amidst the vast and relentless destruction, appearing so small yet controlling everything around him like a god. The battle was taking place in the deep, infinite expanse of the secret realm. Golden symbols poured down like rain, filling the heavens and the earth, creating a massive golden sun that bathed everything in light. On the other side, an endless dark aura surged, leaking through the mist wall, flooding the void, and stirring up a bizarre cosmic storm. These 2 forces clashed and devoured one another, continuously generating thunder and explosions, creating a vacuous area where power ceased to exist, and everything was hazy. Amidst this chaos, only a dazzling purple light remained, reflecting the cosmic stars as it aimed to sever the darkness and cleanse the evil. Jiang Chengxuan's final strike, which gathered all his heavenly source power, activated the full potential of the primordial chaos sword, a celestial immortal-grade artifact. This power resonated with the mysterious scriptures floating across the sky, generating a profound sound that reverberated through the void, growing ever stronger in the midst of the dark storm. This was beyond Jiang Chengxuan's expectations, and enraged the mysterious beast hiding behind the mist wall. The beast had not anticipated that the power of the scriptures would resonate with Jiang Chengxuan's own strength, creating an attack so powerful that it terrified even it. The beast had assumed that after consuming the primordial spirit of a celestial immortal, it could easily break the barrier and force its way through, with Jiang Chengxuan merely a temporary obstacle. However, it had not foreseen that Jiang Chengxuan would join forces with the barrier's scriptures, and together their combined might was enough to potentially destroy it. The barrier had not been completely shattered, and countless divine chains still bound the beast's body and power. Roar! However, the mysterious beast did not give up. In the face of the resonance between Jiang Chengxuan's strike and the scriptures, it roared in defiance. Ignoring the backlash from the sealing force, it forcefully unleashed all of its calamity energy, condensing it into a massive, radiant black star that exploded toward Jiang Chengxuan with tremendous force. Wherever it passed, even the golden sealing symbols were corroded, leaving a deep, void-like path, consuming the radiant light along the way. The star shot toward Jiang Chengxuan in the blink of an eye, and he felt a powerful force drawing him in, one that seemed to come from his very soul, accompanied by an overwhelming destructive aura that filled the void with terrifying visions. Buzz! Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes blazed with fury. Without hesitation, he charged forward to meet it head-on. He raised the primordial chaos sword high, like holding up a purple starry sky. The sword radiated with celestial light, pulsating with dazzling brilliance, as if it intended to purify the entire world. In an instant, the golden symbols imprinted in the void shot out divine light, interconnecting with one another to form a vast golden net that enveloped the heavens and earth, heading straight for the beast's deadly strike. Boom, boom, boom. The two forces collided in the void, with the golden scripture net heavily covering the black star. The two celestial immortal powers clashed fiercely, generating explosive tremors that shook the very fabric of the secret realm. The realm fluctuated between light and darkness, with golden light bathing the world one moment and eternal night falling the next. It was an eerie sight, and the space itself rippled like a vast ocean, with massive waves distorting time and space. The entire collapsing secret realm accelerated its destruction with this clash, and in a single breath, half of the remaining world crumbled. Yet this was not the end. Under Jiang Chengxuan's sharp gaze, the primordial chaos sword, infused with terrifying power, descended upon the black star, cleaving through the concentrated calamity force, inch by inch, pushing forward relentlessly. Roar! The aftermath of the battle completely disturbed the entire realm, and with the mysterious beast's final scream, the mist wall shattered, chaos poured out, and calamity energy surged, splitting the void in two. A scene akin to a small-scale cosmic explosion unfolded, consuming the entire battlefield in a flood of endless light. Have you heard the strange events at the Lan Wang Plateau? Of course, who doesn't know now? The entire Lan Wang Plateau seems to have disappeared, as if it was erased from the world. It's now a forbidden zone. Anyone who enters doesn't come out alive. Yeah, I heard that some of the immortal sect disciples went to investigate, and they never returned. Weren't there secret realms in the Lan Wang Plateau? Could it be related? That's right. When the cultivators from the three major immortal sects came out of the secret realm, they looked like they had been scared out of their wits. Chapter 1543. The Black and White Orbs, the 10,000 Worlds Scripture, Part 2. Inside a tea house in the eastern Lan Immortal City, a group of cultivators were in heated discussion, speaking of a recent strange event. It had been nearly 100 days since the destruction of the Lan Wang Plateau's secret realm. Not long ago, an enormous surge of energy erupted from the plateau, shaking the entire eastern continent's cultivation world. When the cultivators arrived to investigate, they found that the vast Lan Wang Plateau had vanished, transformed into a void. This event left the entire eastern continent's cultivation world in shock and confusion. Many rushed to explore the area, but most never returned, adding an even more mysterious aura to the incident. Only the three great immortal sects and the true immortal sect, which had ventured into the secret realm, had an inkling of what truly happened. However, due to the immense forces at play behind the scenes, they dared not speak of it. Thus, the entire eastern continent's cultivation world was left with an unresolved mystery, sparking endless speculation and awe. In reality, the cause of the disappearance was Jiang Chengxuan's fierce battle with the ancient realm invader and the mysterious sealing beast, whose residual energy spread through the void, ultimately annihilating the Lan Wang Plateau. This battle, however, would remain unknown in its entirety, and the only person who knew the full truth had already left the eastern continent, returning to his loyalty with the scattered Cultivator Alliance. What a satisfying battle! I've learned so much from it. Within the mountain gate of the scattered Cultivator Alliance, in a cave abode that radiated with nine-colored light, Jiang Chengxuan slowly opened his eyes. His gaze sparkled as he muttered to himself. Behind him, his cave sky manifested, absorbing the surrounding immortal energy. After 100 days of cultivation, Jiang Chengxuan's aura had finally returned to its peak. On that day, in the secret realm, he had resonated with the power of the mysterious scriptures using the primordial chaos sword, ultimately breaking through the mist wall's barrier and slaying the enigmatic beast. The destructive power had completely obliterated the realm, causing the void to collapse. He had been forced to leave the battlefield in a hurry. After returning to the Xuanyuan immortal domain, Jiang Chengxuan had witnessed the devastation of the Lan Wang Plateau and immediately left, opening a spatial gateway to the western continent. After informing Shen Ruyan of the situation, they both retreated to their respective abodes to recover their strength, and only now had Jiang Chengxuan fully recovered. Reflecting on the details of that battle, Jiang Chengxuan felt that his strength had progressed significantly. After all, he had slain 2 celestial immortals, an experience filled with danger and value. Every battle honed his understanding of his abilities and Tao principles. Through this battle, Jiang Chengxuan was confident that he would soon break into the mid-stage of the celestial immortal realm. At that time, he might be the first to enter the ancient realm in such a capacity. The mysterious beast, I still don't know what it truly was. Rising from his seated position, Jiang Chengxuan stretched his body and let his aura flow freely. Unfortunately, despite having slain 2 celestial immortals, his gains from the battle had been few. Firstly, the ancient realm invader had arrived through divine summoning techniques and had brought no treasures with him. The only artifact, a tribulation weapon, had been devoured by the mysterious beast. Secondly, after slaying the beast, Jiang Chengxuan hadn't had the chance to collect any spoils from the battlefield. The destruction caused by the collapsing secret realm made it impossible to stay and collect anything, especially after the intense battle that had drained him completely. At least it wasn't all for nothing. With a rueful smile, Jiang Chengxuan reached into his storage ring and retrieved an object. As soon as it appeared, the entire cave was engulfed in a strange black and white aura, 2 ancient and profound energies entwining, evolving into some unknown Tao principle. In his hand was a sphere that appeared both real and illusory, the Taiji Pearl. It burned with eerie black and white flames, distorting the space around it. An inexplicable force radiated from it, leaving Jiang Chengxuan with a strange, unexplainable sensation. This item was not a treasure left by the ancient celestial immortal, but rather something Jiang Chengxuan had extracted from the beast's body after its death. His guess was that this item was the result of the mysterious beast's core, or something akin to a beast's heart, mutated after consuming the primordial spirit of the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate. It contained 2 distinct energies, unlike the beast's own power. He had only managed to deduce one use for it so far, the immense, mysterious power of the primordial spirit. This object had a profound effect on the primordial spirit. Just holding it in his hand allowed Jiang Chengxuan to feel its influence. If he activated its power, it could unleash a primordial spirit attack strong enough to threaten even celestial immortals. It could also block attacks directed at the primordial spirit. This was a rare and valuable object, its power in the realm of the primordial spirit pushed to its limits. While the abilities seemed simple, they were incredibly profound, offering great potential. For example, on the day when the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation gate attempted to escape through his primordial spirit, Jiang Chengxuan was powerless to stop him. Yet, the mysterious beast had easily devoured the celestial lord's primordial spirit, a scene that had deeply shocked Jiang Chengxuan. The primordial spirit and physical body were the very foundation of any cultivator. While refining either one to perfection would be immensely powerful, it was common for cultivators to focus on refining their Tao principles after entering the immortal realm, using many precious items to support their cultivation. Now, with this mysterious object, Jiang Chengxuan had a means of counteracting any strange attacks on his primordial spirit. He was quite satisfied with this gain, believing it was only slightly weaker than the treasures left by the ancient celestial immortal. With these 2 objects, it was worth battling 2 celestial immortals. A satisfied smile spread across Jiang Chengxuan's face as he placed the Taiji Pearl back into his storage ring. His eyes glimmered with renewed determination. As he did so, another item emerged, and the atmosphere in the cave shifted once again. A divine aura radiated from it, as though Jiang Chengxuan were standing in the heart of a sacred mountain, enveloped by a profound sense of peace and tranquility. Buzz! In the distance, the sound of a great bell resonated in the air, accompanied by the appearance of countless golden symbols that slowly emerged, rising and falling like an invisible silk thread, enveloping Jiang Chengxuan in a sacred aura. But its true form was now in Jiang Chengxuan's hand, a small golden scripture about the size of a palm. It glowed with golden light, slowly shifting, as if it were nurturing an entire world within. In fact, this scripture could manifest its full appearance, one that Jiang Chengxuan had seen before. It was as large as a vast plain. Yes, the true treasure that had sealed the mysterious beast was hidden within this scripture. The 10,000 Worlds Manifestation Scripture. Jiang Chengxuan's face grew solemn as he muttered the true name of the scripture. After 100 days of study, Jiang Chengxuan had gained a deep understanding of this scripture. Like the power he had released in the secret realm, This scripture had the ability to break all evil and release the power of sealing. Its origins were incredibly mysterious, belonging not to this era, but to the ancient times, much like the Bodhi lotus lamp. Even this small fragment of the scripture was a remnant, unable to unleash its full power. When Jiang Chengxuan discovered this, he was stunned. This scripture could seal an entity as powerful as the mysterious beast, and that beast was no ordinary creature. Its origins were undoubtedly extraordinary. The fact that it could easily consume the primordial spirit of a celestial immortal was only the beginning. In their battle, the beast had not even unleashed its full power. The sealing force had kept it restrained, giving Jiang Chengxuan the opportunity to strike the final blow. Chapter 1544, Comprehending the Mysterious Objects, the Supreme Nine Cauldrons, Part 1. Both of the great treasures had been obtained by Jiang Chengxuan, and they possessed extraordinary powers. Even Jiang Chengxuan was unable to easily master them. Therefore, during the following period, Jiang Chengxuan no longer concerned himself with other matters. Instead, he focused entirely on comprehending the powers of the two mysterious objects within his cave dwelling. He sealed off the cave and first began to experiment with the strange black and white orb, using various divine techniques to conduct trials. He also tried using the power of the heavenly source to probe the mysteries within the orb. This process proved to be immensely beneficial to him, as he continuously gained various insights and ancient information, deepening his understanding of the cosmic Tao laws. Moreover, he discovered that the black and white orb could be used to refine his primordial spirit. Although the process was somewhat painful, Jiang Chengxuan still reveled in it. He constantly separated a strand of his primordial spirit and activated the orb's power, transforming it into a series of overlapping illusory filters. He then controlled his primordial spirit to pass through the filters, layer by layer. With each layer he passed through, his primordial spirit grew more refined. The process was accompanied by a sense of pressure, dizziness, and dull pain, but it cleared the impurities in his primordial spirit, making his thoughts more ethereal. By relying on this effect, Jiang Chengxuan refined his primordial spirit every day. Gradually, a mysterious transformation occurred within him, greatly enhancing his perception and sensory abilities. As for the study of the 10,000 Ages sacred scripture, Jiang Chengxuan did not neglect it either. Using the power of his cave dwelling, he engraved it onto a cliff wall within the cave. He meticulously analyzed and comprehended the symbols of the scripture, intending to master this mysterious ancient divine technique. This process proved far more difficult than he had imagined. Every character of the scripture contained countless variations and information. Not only did he need to understand its meaning, but also replicate its form and grasp its many connections. At first, it was relatively simple for Jiang Chengxuan, but as he deciphered each symbol, the interpretations grew increasingly difficult. The changes were cumulative and interconnected. With each additional symbol, countless new variations emerged. At the beginning, Jiang Chengxuan could comprehend one symbol every few days, but gradually it took him a month or even several months with no progress. Fortunately, Jiang Chengxuan was not anxious. He did not become frustrated and give up because the scripture became more obscure. He understood how powerful this scripture was and knew that it could not be easily deciphered. Moreover, even comprehending only half of a symbol's change greatly benefited him. While it was not enough to unleash the full power of the forbidden techniques, it was still enough to elevate his understanding of the laws of the heavens and earth. In fact, a divine aura resembling the laws of light began to manifest within him. "My husband, I've arrived. Is there anything you need?" Every day, Shen Ruyan would come to the entrance of Jiang Chengxuan's cave dwelling and gently touch the defensive formation to transmit her voice. During the time Jiang Chengxuan was comprehending the two mysterious objects, she had not been idle either. Every day, she diligently cultivated and refined the primal objects she had obtained from the ancestor of the immortal tribulation sect, improving her cultivation. She had already sensed that she was nearing the bottleneck of the great perfection of earth immortals. Soon, she might even step into the half-step heavenly immortal realm. This progress was astonishing and made many people envious. The greatest credit for this was the Bodhi seed, which almost eliminated the need for Shen Ruyan to spend tens of thousands of years on her cultivation. Coupled with the continuous support from the primal objects, breaking through her cultivation boundaries had become a natural process for her. With the current power of the loose cultivator alliance, half of the Xuanming immortal domain was contributing to Shen Ruyan's cultivation. "Please wait a moment, my lady." As soon as Shen Ruyan's voice fell, Jiang Chengxuan's voice came from within the cave. At this moment, he was studying the 10,000 Ages sacred scripture, and his progress had reached about 1/10. Hearing Shen Ruyan's arrival, he gathered his focus, reduced the scripture, and stored it in the cave. Boom! Then with a wave of his hand, the cave's defensive formation opened, and the door swung open. Immediately, bright sunlight mixed with rosy clouds spilled across the horizon, illuminating Shen Ruyan's enchanting figure. Her eyebrows were like distant ink, and her eyes sparkled like stars. She had an aura of cold detachment, but when she looked at Jiang Chengxuan, her gaze softened like a serene pond. "Come in." Jiang Chengxuan greeted her with a smile, and the two walked side by side into the cave. As they walked deeper into the cave, Shen Ruyan asked, "My husband, how are the two mysterious objects? Have you made any progress?" Along the way, Shen Ruyan and Jiang Chengxuan discussed their recent cultivation and addressed some of her doubts. Though she didn't know why Jiang Chengxuan had called her over, she wasn't in a hurry and enjoyed every moment spent with him. After a while, they passed through a winding path in the cave, and ahead, a bright light suddenly appeared, revealing a hidden realm. "This is..." Shen Ruyan's eyes lit up as she looked ahead, exclaiming in surprise. Before her stood a vast space, within which were placed several massive cauldrons, each inscribed with profound runes. Immortal light emanated from them, and mist swirled around. Each cauldron was at least 100 feet tall and made from rare immortal stones. There were 9 cauldrons in total, representing the supreme number of heaven and earth. Each cauldron had a unique color and aura, corresponding to the 9 colors, and each was engraved with various strange symbols and auspicious patterns. Chapter 1545. Comprehending the Mysterious Objects, the Supreme 9 Cauldrons, Part 2. Sitting in this space, there was a profound and grand aura, an invisible force that filled every inch of the void. This is the Supreme 9 Cauldrons. I believe you must have heard of them, my lady." Seeing the surprised expression on Shen Ruyan's face, Jiang Chengxuan smiled and spoke slowly. This was something he had been preparing since his breakthrough to the heavenly immortal realm, and now, at this moment, it had finally come to fruition. Indeed, the Supreme 9 Cauldrons. Upon hearing this, Shen Ruyan's excitement grew even stronger. She couldn't help but step lightly towards the 9 gigantic cauldrons, her snow-white hands gently caressing them. The primal power within her transformed into a gentle breeze. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the heavens and earth roared, ancient and domineering. 9 colored immortal flames erupted, blazing intensely. The 9 cauldrons were activated, radiating brilliant immortal light, shining like crystal. A terrifying aura spread out, displaying 9 different phenomena, 9 auspicious beasts. The space around them instantly became beautiful and mysterious. These 9 auspicious beasts were all from ancient times and were masters of forging. Among them were the immortal dragon and the Killin, as well as the phoenix and the furious ape. The Supreme 9 Cauldrons were a legendary treasure in the Xianxia immortal domain, capable of forging extraordinary objects of the heavens and earth. They possessed the power to create divine items with incredible craftsmanship. These cauldrons had been scattered across the Xianxia immortal domain for countless years, under the control of various powers, or hidden within secret realms, with no one knowing their true locations. It was said that the person who could gather all 9 cauldrons would gain access to an ancient forging method, capable of creating treasures of the earth immortal rank. This caused many to covet them. However, due to the large number of cauldrons and the fierce competition among the various factions, they guarded these treasures as sacred relics. No one wanted another sect to gain control over all 9 cauldrons, even if they couldn't obtain them themselves. As a result, no one had ever succeeded in gathering all 9 cauldrons in the Xianxia immortal domain until now. Only Jiang Chengxuan, a newly emerged heavenly immortal, had accomplished this feat. Even Jiang Chengxuan himself had spent considerable time and effort to collect them after his breakthrough, highlighting the rarity of the Supreme 9 Cauldrons. In this process, Jiang Chengxuan personally visited some immortal sects to trade for the cauldrons, which caused those sects to both revere and be shocked by his visit. Rather than forcibly taking them, he exchanged rare immortal materials and treasures. For ordinary immortals, even if the value was equivalent, these sects would have been reluctant to part with the cauldrons, fearing that someone would rise to power by collecting all 9. but with Jiang Chengxuan being a heavenly immortal and willing to offer valuable items in exchange, these sects could hardly refuse him. Through his dealings, Jiang Chengxuan had acquired 6 of the cauldrons, and the remaining 3 were tracked down through his sect's intelligence network. With the help of his celestial divination, he narrowed down their locations, and in the end, the final cauldron arrived only a few days ago. Jiang Chengxuan had invited Shen Ruyan to the cave, believing that, as a refiner, she would surely appreciate the supreme 9 cauldrons. As he had anticipated, she was overjoyed. "My husband, does the supreme 9 cauldron contain the ancient forging method, as the legends say?" Bathed in the aura of the supreme 9 cauldron, Shen Ruyan's face was flushed with excitement as she asked. In response, Jiang Chengxuan smiled lightly and replied, "Whether it contains it or not, my lady, you can try for yourself. The supreme 9 cauldrons are a gift from me to you." These words made Shen Ruyan's heart blossom with happiness, her eyes narrowing into crescent moons with joy. She couldn't help but move toward Jiang Chengxuan, embracing him and softly speaking, "Thank you, my husband. I love it so much." Jiang Chengxuan gently stroked her green hair and smiled. "We don't need to say such things. Go ahead and try. See if the supreme 9 cauldrons are of use to you." Without hesitation, Shen Ruyan stepped forward, leaving her mark on each of the 9 cauldrons. In an instant, the entire space became more intense with fluctuating auras, strange phenomena, and surging immortal light. A powerful force shook the entire mountain range. Had Shen Ruyan's cultivation not been profound enough, it would have been impossible for her to tame the supreme 9 cauldrons. Seal. But ultimately, with the power of her blessed land, Shen Ruyan was able to subdue the 9 cauldrons, calming them down and linking her consciousness to them. Buzz. In that moment, Shen Ruyan felt an ancient scripture, imbued with a sense of antiquity, slowly manifest in her sea of consciousness. It described the origins of ancient forging methods, detailing their development, improvements, and the various branches of forging techniques, all of which were incredibly profound. Indeed, there is a method. Upon seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes lit up. He knew that the legends were true. The supreme 9 cauldrons concealed the ancient forging methods, which Shen Ruyan had now absorbed. Immediately, as the vast information transformed within her, Shen Ruyan felt her thoughts become clearer. Previous doubts she had in the path of refining suddenly cleared, as if a veil had been lifted, and everything became much easier to understand. This process lasted a full 81 days before it concluded. Shen Ruyan, now with her immortal light withdrawn, appeared more radiant than ever. "My lady, how do you feel?" Jiang Chengxuan asked with concern. "I have comprehended the ancient forging methods. It contains the techniques for creating earth immortal treasures." With a smile that could light up the world, Shen Ruyan looked up at Jiang Chengxuan. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with confidence. Jiang Chengxuan's expression softened as he nodded approvingly. "Then I congratulate you, my lady. You are now destined to become the supreme refiner in the Xuanming immortal domain." This news excited both of them. Refining was one of the most prestigious arts in the cultivation world, and regardless of one's cultivation level, it had immense significance. In the battle between immortals, the power of immortal treasures often played a decisive role. Those possessing powerful immortal treasures could overcome even stronger opponents, making them nearly invincible. "My husband, let me show you the ancient forging techniques." With a bright smile, Shen Ruyan spoke to Jiang Chengxuan, her voice full of excitement. Then, with a flick of her fingers, the 9 massive cauldrons roared to life, unleashing great power. 9-colored light illuminated the sky as the space around them shook. The vast immortal flames surged like clouds, quickly forming a brilliant sea of fire within the cave. The 9 auspicious beasts' phantom images ran wild within the flames, roaring proudly. Shen Ruyan's jade-like fingers flicked again, causing the 9 cauldrons to tremble, resonating with a deep and mysterious hum, like the sound of ancient bells. The cauldrons' crystalline surfaces reflected runes that glowed with immortal light, transforming into stars and imprints on the bodies of the 9 auspicious beasts. Finally, the 9 powerful auspicious beasts quieted down, each occupying the top of its cauldron, exhaling deeply and creating a beautiful 9-colored glow. Supreme 9 lit, refining the primordial chaos. At this moment, Shen Ruyan's eyes became sharp, and her voice rang out, commanding the cauldrons. In an instant, the 9 ancient beasts surged, their ethereal bodies merging with the flames. 9-colored fire pillars erupted, transforming the entire world into a giant furnace. The terrifying heat twisted the space around them, even igniting the very laws of the universe. Under these forces, Shen Ruyan moved gracefully, like a celestial maiden from the ninth heaven. Behind her, the power of her blessed land manifested, forming a sea of thunder that rumbled and shook. The intense thunder, mixed with the terrifying immortal flames, caused the very void of the cave to warp. Yet within this ocean of fire, Shen Ruyan was untouched, not a single spark reaching her. As she chanted her incantations, two immortal treasures soared from her blessed land, ready to undergo the refining process in the supreme 9 cauldrons. These two treasures were of extraordinary quality. One was the heavenly war axe obtained from the secret realm, and the other was the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword. Chapter 1546, Refining Earth Immortal Treasures, Part 1. The 5 thunder immortal slashing sword was Shen Ruyan's lifelong treasure, a weapon that had followed her from the lower realms to the present day. It was undoubtedly the most familiar and easiest to wield of all her treasures. Having undergone numerous upgrades and refinements, it had proven itself in battle, with an impressive record of slaying immortals, making it a truly formidable weapon. However, as Shen Ruyan's cultivation had rapidly advanced with Jiang Chengxuan's help, the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword was beginning to lag behind in terms of power. Her cultivation had risen at an astonishing rate, thanks in part to the Bodhi seed's effect. Yet, unlike Jiang Chengxuan's system rewards that could directly enhance the quality of treasures, the sword itself could not benefit from such upgrades. Normally, for an immortal treasure to be upgraded, it required the aid of rare immortal materials, special cauldrons for forging, and extraordinary techniques to refine it. This process was complex, requiring the right timing, location, and a skilled refiner to bring everything together, exactly as Shen Ruyan had done now. She had already acquired the Supreme 9 Cauldrons, the most powerful forging artifact in the Xunaming immortal domain, and she had also obtained the ancient forging methods hidden within. Shen Ruyan felt that now was the perfect time to refine the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword, her heart calm and her eyes sharp. Under her control, the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword descended into the center of the 9 cauldrons. 9 colored immortal flames surged forth, wrapping around the sword, engulfing it in a blazing inferno. The 9 ancient auspicious beasts roared and stepped through the sea of fire, each displaying its unique powers and imbuing its will into the flames, using various flame laws to refine the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword. Boom! In an instant, the sword's power was automatically triggered. A terrifying white light shot out, and countless thunderbolts exploded in the heavens, sounding like a volcanic eruption. The refining power of the Supreme 9 Cauldrons threatened the sword's integrity, prompting it to instinctively release its full force in defense. This was the first challenge that every refiner faced when crafting an immortal treasure. Gather. Fortunately, the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword was Shen Ruyan's life-bound treasure, and she had absolute control over it. The moment the sword unleashed its boundless thunder, she uttered a soft command, instantly calming its power and allowing the immortal flames to burn it peacefully. As the flames intensified, the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword gradually became translucent, as if forged from glass. Its intricate runes became visible, revealing the profound mysteries hidden within. An immortal treasure like this was incredibly complex, with laws and runes that formed arrays within it. Each refining material used in its creation left behind its own unique energy. The intertwining of these energies created the complete sword. For a refiner, even if their cultivation was higher than Shen Ruyan's, it would be impossible to discern the mysteries within the sword or adjust its balance without ruining it. Shen Ruyan let out a deep breath, steadying her mind as she refrained from rushing. She did not immediately begin altering the 5 thunder immortal slashing sword. With a flash of black light, she summoned another treasure, the heavenly war axe. As soon as it appeared, a black mist enveloped the 9 colored flames, its aura strange and mysterious. The heavenly war axe resisted the flames fiercely, prompting Shen Ruyan to use the supreme 9 cauldrons, immortal fire, to subdue its rebellion. In an instant, the black light flared, and sharp black blades ripped through space, stirring the heavens and the earth. The axe's intent was so sharp that even the invisible laws of the universe could be cleaved. Supremely fire suppress. Shen Ruyan was unwilling to back down. As she mentally suppressed the heavenly war axe's resistance, she also activated the power of the Supreme Nine Cauldrons to continue refining the treasures. Inside the cave, the 9 cauldrons had transformed into transparent, glass-like mountains. The 9 colored lights swirled, gradually blending into one another, forming a harmonious whole. The Supreme 9 cauldrons resonated with each other, emitting a deep hum and roar. The combined power of the 9 cauldrons reached its peak, merging into a true, unified force. Even the heavenly war axe, though an ancient immortal treasure, was intimidated by the immense pressure. The 9 auspicious beast phantoms swelled, filling the entire space. The heavenly war axe, though once a mighty weapon from the ancient times, had lost much of its strength after countless years without absorbing the power of calamity. It was at its weakest now. However, with Shen Ruyan's acquisition of the ancient forging methods, and the fact that both treasures shared the same origin, she was able to weaken the axe's resistance. Using all her strength, the chaos of thunder and fire gradually stripped away the deep darkness of the axe, revealing its true form, the gleaming glass-like appearance. At this point, Shen Ruyan closed her eyes and sat cross-legged between the 9 cauldrons. With immense fiery energy, she continued to burn both treasures, gradually altering their structures using the power of the laws. Her goal was to merge the 2 treasures. This way, the new immortal treasure would possess the extraordinary power of the heavenly war axe and the control of a life-bound treasure, making it just as useful to her as the 5 Thunder immortal slashing sword. This was a difficult challenge, requiring an extremely high level of cultivation. Both the ancient forging methods and the Supreme 9 cauldrons were essential to succeed. Even Jiang Chengxuan, watching from the side, nodded in approval, impressed by her progress. Shen Ruyan had an incredible talent for forging, having never formally joined a large refiner sect. She had learned and refined her skills through personal experience, reaching the peak of the craft on her own. Now, with the addition of the ancient forging methods, it was as if she had been given wings to soar. Chapter 1547, Refining Earth Immortal Treasures, Part 2. Yang Chengxuan could feel it. Shen Ruyan's forging skills had advanced significantly. The creation of Earth Immortal treasures was no longer just a distant dream. Though not a 100% certainty, the chances of success were undoubtedly high. This process demanded immense patience and attention to detail. Time slipped away as the Supreme 9 cauldrons continued their fiery work. The only sounds in the cavernous hall were the crackling of flames and the occasional hum emanating from the massive cauldrons. Suddenly, a deafening thunderous sound erupted, shaking the cavern's protective barrier and the entire immortal mountain. The tremor sent ripples through the loose cultivator alliance, and several elders and disciples rushed over, drawn by the strange occurrence. They were filled with awe and curiosity, wondering what had transpired. When they saw the disturbance originated from Jiang Chengxuan's mountain, they knew it was extraordinary. It could only be something capable of shaking the entire Xianxia immortal domain. It seems Elder Chengxuan and Elder Ruyan have succeeded. I can no longer predict their future. The Xianxia immortal domain is too small to contain 2 such rising stars. Only a few, like Yuan Hengxian and some elders, knew about Shen Ruyan and the Supreme 9 cauldrons. They could sense the terrifying aura emanating from Jiang Chengxuan's mountain. They understood that the legendary tale of the Supreme 9 cauldrons was not a myth, and that a powerful immortal treasure was being forged at this very moment. Primordial furnace forges all. At almost the exact moment, inside Jiang Chengxuan's cave, Shen Ruyan opened her eyes. A brilliant light shot from her beautiful eyes, and her aura had reached its peak. The blessed land behind her expanded like a massive celestial canopy. With the immortal flames swirling around her and the destructive thunder of her own making stirring the air, she appeared capable of tearing the world asunder, even creating a new one. Slowly, she brought her hands together. The 2 immortal treasures that had been refined to perfection in the Supreme 9 cauldrons suddenly transformed into 2 streaks of light and collided with each other in the air. In that instant, their forms became indistinct, merely 2 orbs of radiant immortal light. The 2 treasures merged like the flow of Taikai, swirling together to form a white star. Yang Chengxuan, with his vast perception, could sense the ethereal Tao of the immortal domain descending, pouring into the 2 treasures. In the next moment, enormous 9-colored pillars of light shot up into the sky, piercing through the immortal mountain and into the heavens, visible from all directions. The boundless 9-colored immortal light, along with the thunder, spread out, creating a magnificent celestial dome overhead. What is that sound? Is there an immortal treasure in our loose cultivator alliance? It's happening, it's really done, incredible. The dazzling light illuminated the entire region around the loose cultivator alliance, stretching over millions of miles, drawing the attention and amazement of countless disciples and cultivators. They felt an overwhelming aura of destruction and sharpness, sending chills down their spines. The winds and clouds seemed to stir, and suddenly a celestial light descended from the skies. When everything finally settled, the sensation lingered in the air, and discussions erupted among the onlookers. It's done. Even Shen Ruyan, the creator of this masterpiece, couldn't hide her joy as she revealed a radiant expression in front of Jiang Chengxuan. He, congratulations, my lady. Your forging skills have reached the peak. With this treasure, even facing ancient world immortals, you need not fear. Jiang Chengxuan stepped forward, praising her without reserve. Both of their eyes turned to the light before Shen Ruyan, where a majestic immortal treasure hovered, emanating a dazzling radiance. It took the shape of a long sword, but the hilt was unlike any other, twisting into a jagged, sinister axe blade that released a sharp black light. The sword itself contained a cold, hidden gleam, and on its blade, 9-colored thunder crackled. The edge of the sword shimmered with black light, twisting the very space around it. Without a doubt, Shen Ruyan had successfully merged the 5-thunder immortal slashing sword with the heavenly war axe, forging an immortal treasure. The power of this weapon had fully entered the realm of earth immortal treasures, and its aura even rivaled that of a pseudo-heavenly immortal treasure. Even Jiang Chengxuan was taken aback by its might, thinking that it surpassed the heavenly war axe used by the celestial lord of the immortal tribulation sect during their battle. Moreover, this treasure clearly inherited the destructive power of the heavenly war axe and retained the characteristics of a life-bound treasure, making it an instrument of immense power. Shen Ruyan merely gestured lightly, and the sword appeared as a spectral image by her side, obedient like a spirit pet. When she saw its power, she couldn't help but smile, her fingers lightly tracing the blade without sensing any of its sharpness. From now on, you will be the 9-thunder immortal slashing sword. She whispered to herself, her eyes sparkling with excitement, then looked at Jiang Chengxuan with warmth and gratitude. This event shook the entire Xianxia immortal domain, especially in the western region, where countless immortal sects were left in confusion. They inquired with the loose cultivator alliance and received only a brief answer: it's the work of the forger. Naturally, many of the immortals believed this was a vague response, but they didn't dare to ask further. Only those who had previously possessed the supreme 9 cauldrons began to suspect the truth behind the event. They sighed deeply, marveling at the incredible news. After countless years, the Xianxia immortal domain finally had a forger capable of crafting earth immortal treasures. The legend of the supreme 9 cauldrons had been confirmed. Some were overjoyed, while others were anxious. When Jiang Chengxuan had traded for the supreme 9 cauldrons, he had given the sects 2 choices: immediate delivery of cultivation resources or a future opportunity to use the supreme 9 cauldrons for forging. Now, Shen Ruyan's forging skills had reached perfection, and those sects that had chosen the second option were ecstatic. Soon after, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, having fulfilled their promises, visited these sects to forge earth immortal treasures, solidifying Shen Ruyan's position and refining the most powerful treasures. It wasn't long before the sects realized that it wasn't Jiang Chengxuan who had forged the treasures, but his wife, Shen Ruyan. This revelation sent shockwaves through the immortal world. The two of them were unbothered by the attention, simply completing their work and leaving quickly. By the time they finished their commitments to the last sect, hundreds of years had passed. At that moment, news came that the final, most elusive immortal realm secret realm had finally been discovered. Without hesitation, they left the loose cultivator alliance and set out immediately for the location of the secret realm, the Western Black Sea. Chapter 1548, The Pseudo-Immortal Domain-Level Secret Realm, Hidden Immortal Sect Part 1. In the western region of the Xianxia Immortal Domain, the Western Black Sea was a place that Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan could not avoid after arriving in the Immortal Domain. It was here that they once found their master, Qin Shenwu, and in a certain Earth Immortal secret realm, they had acquired the Tao powers of primordial water, primordial fire, primordial wind, and primordial thunder. Jiang Chengxuan had even obtained the primordial water-fire sword here, which had allowed him to defeat countless enemies in the competitions for opportunities in the Xianxia Immortal Domain. Though the Western Black Sea was considered an ominous forbidden zone by many in the immortal domain, it had always been a land of fortune for Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Their last visit here was thousands of years ago, when Jiang Chengxuan was seeking a place to break through the heavenly immortal realm. They had come to investigate but abandoned the idea for reasons unknown and had not returned since. Little did they expect that just before heading to the ancient realm, they would have the opportunity to visit the Western Black Sea once again. The vast Western Black Sea had once been desiccated by a great calamity, becoming a barren land. All its energy had been absorbed by a mysterious, sinister tree born from the calamity. Today, it still bore signs of devastation, with large, eerie tree trunks piercing through the land, their cold, gleaming branches reflecting a strange, shimmering light from above. Although the calamity's aura had almost completely dissipated over the millennia, the area still carried a lingering sense of desolation. However, there were subtle signs of revival. The once dead sea was showing some signs of life, and the faint aura of immortal spirits seemed to be clearing away the remaining malevolent energy. As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan stepped through the spatial gate and onto the edge of the Western Black Sea, they both felt a thin presence of immortal energy sweeping through the air, carrying a powerful, ancient aura that made them uneasy. "Look, my husband." Shen Ruyan suddenly pointed to the horizon, her voice filled with shock. Jiang Chengxuan followed her gaze and saw, in the deepest part of the Western Black Sea, an enormous secret realm stretched across the land. Its ethereal light reached into the sky, scattering like a starry sea. This secret realm, could it be hiding the last of the immortal-level treasures? Jiang Chengxuan murmured in awe. The scale of the secret realm was truly overwhelming, spanning tens of thousands of miles and piercing into the clouds, resembling a vast passageway leading into some unknown part of the universe. He had not expected this recently emerged secret realm to be of such terrifying proportions. The energy it radiated made even him, a heavenly immortal, feel a weight of caution. It seems that even greater dangers lie ahead. As expected of an immortal-level treasure, it always surprises, Jiang Chengxuan remarked with a deep sense of foreboding. Such a secret realm could not remain hidden for long. As soon as news reached Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, it had already spread to various factions across the immortal domain. From the western region to the central, northern, southern, and eastern regions, powerful immortal sects had gathered here. The scale of a secret realm was impossible to keep secret, and many immortal sects had received the news by now. I've lived for so long, but I've never seen such a secret realm. Could this be the fabled immortal domain-level secret realm? I thought they were only myths. Impossible to say. The legendary immortal domain-level secret realms are vast enough to be compared to an entire immortal domain. This entrance is so huge, it might not be a true immortal domain-level realm, but a pseudo-immortal domain-level one. Goodness, could this secret realm be the ruins of some ancient sect? Beneath the vast expanse of the secret realm, the sky had already filled with auroras, casting a shimmering glow across millions of miles of land. Countless cultivators flooded the area, like a swarm of black crows, occupying every inch of the terrain. When they saw the secret realm, they were all dumbfounded, their minds shaken. They regarded it as an unprecedented sight, and even some of the elders from immortal domains had the same reaction. Some of them had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and had never encountered such a spectacle. It was simply beyond belief. Soon, the disturbance caused by the secret realm attracted even more immortal sects. Great waves of Chinese letter, mystic light, streaked across the sky, as if celestial light were descending to the earth. Massive spatial gates opened one after another, and the forces of various immortal sects descended. Many renowned Earth immortal-level experts, revered ancestors of sects, and even some hidden, mysterious ancient sects sent their disciples to the site. 1, 2, 4, 10. Am I seeing things? These are all Earth immortal sects. That mount? Could it be the legendary avoidance water golden crystal beast? I thought these beasts were extinct. Don't you remember? There was once an immortal era where a sect could raise avoidance water golden crystal beasts. The water crystal immortal sect, didn't they retreat from the world? How are they here now? More and more, cultivators from different immortal domains began to recognize the powerful sects and exclaim in disbelief. That's Morning Sky Gate, they've come too. Could that be Morning Sky Immortal Lord? He's still alive. Didn't he almost die in his tribulation several millennia ago? Has he passed that trial? I can't tell. His cultivation is unfathomable, but it seems he's entered his second life. Chapter 1549. The Pseudo-Immortal Domain-Level Secret Realm, Hidden Immortal Sect Part 2. Hidden immortal sects, long dormant, were suddenly making their appearance, one after another, drawing the attention of many powerful forces across the immortal domain. These sects, many of which had once been tyrants millions of years ago, had chosen to remain hidden for various reasons, even during the Great Calamity. But now, with the emergence of this secret realm, they had come forth to show their still formidable strength. The appearance of these hidden sects caused great unease among the other immortal forces. The leaders of these sects were all renowned figures, their powers and realms difficult to grasp. Quick retreat. This is not a place for you. The arrival of the hidden sects was as domineering as expected. Led by legendary figures, they pushed their way through, disregarding the other sects that had already occupied positions, forcefully making their way to the front of the secret realm. Some of the sects, unable to bear the disrespect, attempted to challenge them. But upon seeing the leader of the hidden sects, they realized the figure before them was none other than the legendary being from the undefeated immortal domain. They had no choice but to reluctantly step aside, allowing the powerful beasts to pass by with ease. HMPH, we were here first. What are you planning? This is no longer your era. Do you still think you are invincible? The current immortal domain is not a place you can just barge into. Naturally, some of the older and more powerful sects did not back down, confronting the hidden sects with overwhelming pressure. Their eyes were filled with caution as they sternly warned them. The clash between the two sides stopped briefly, but the hidden sect leaders scoffed at their remarks. Seems like all these years of hiding have made us forgotten. Haha, the way of the immortals these days is truly regressing. The tone of the leader of the hidden sect was laced with mockery, his voice sharp and cold. It irritated many of the other immortals, who shot them angry glares. Ridiculous. The leader of the opposing sect attempted to retort, but before they could do so, the elder of the hidden sect immediately struck with thunderous force. The person who made the move was none other than the Morning Sky immortal lord from the Morning Sky sect, who had been rumored to have survived his death tribulation. His cultivation was on full display, revealing his earth immortal great perfection realm. A terrifying pressure descended, like a massive black hole, crushing down on the area. Countless cultivators struggled to breathe, and those of lower cultivation were struck dead on the spot. This is impossible. He truly lived through his second life. No wonder he's so arrogant. This is terrifying. The Earth Immortal Great Perfection Realm was a rare existence in the Xianxia Immortal Domain, and those who reached it were few in number. Even throughout the history of the Immortal Domain, such beings were already regarded as the most powerful. The overwhelming power of the hidden sect leaders quickly forced their way through. Even some of the older sects had underestimated the strength of these hidden sects, believing they had grown weak over the years. To their surprise, these hidden sects had grown even stronger in isolation. In just a few exchanges, the Morning Sky Immortal Lord and his companions had completely overwhelmed their opponents. With a few blows, they had forced the opposing sect leader to vomit blood, finally leaving him gravely injured. The hidden sects halted for a moment, their eyes sweeping the area, their arrogance palpable. With a cold snort, they stepped over the fallen leaders and continued onward without hesitation. They chose not to kill their opponents. There was no need. The others simply weren't worthy adversaries. The goal wasn't to annihilate every opponent, but to establish their dominance and ensure their names were remembered. They did not wish to make enemies with all the immortal sects. They only sought to assert their power before entering the secret realm. They really exist. I didn't expect them to hide so deeply. Nearby, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had arrived and watched the scene unfold. Jiang Chengxuan muttered to himself, his brows furrowed in thought. He had always known about the hidden immortal sects, though they had remained reclusive, and he had never had any conflicts with them. He wasn't afraid of these sects, but he wouldn't underestimate them either. The hidden immortal sects were the tyrants of the previous immortal era, and though they did not possess heavenly immortal powers, they carried with them many secrets. Some of their elders had long since passed the time for ascension, yet they had lived to enter a second life, their power now more refined. Jiang Chengxuan suspected that these hidden immortal sects were connected to some ancient forces from the ancient realm. They had kept to themselves, avoiding causing too much disturbance in the immortal domain, lest they attract the attention of certain ancient organizations. As for their cultivation resources, they could likely obtain them through some means from the ancient realm, which explained why their power had continued to grow even after their isolation. These hidden immortal sects are truly domineering. Shen Ruyan, equally displeased by the spectacle, spoke with a furrowed brow. It's no matter. Once we enter the secret realm, we'll see who's who, Jiang Chengxuan replied slowly. He didn't feel the need to intervene in this clash. While the hidden immortal sects were indeed arrogant, they hadn't resorted to killing, which still allowed them to maintain some semblance of honor. They hadn't torn the veil completely. He didn't believe they didn't know about his breakthrough to the heavenly immortal realm, and if they did, their reckless behavior took on an entirely different significance. The reasons behind it were more interesting than simply seeking dominance. The secret realm didn't open immediately. For the next several days, countless immortal sects from the entire Xianxia immortal domain continued to arrive at the western Black Sea, each striving to secure their place at the entrance. Estimates suggested that more than half of the immortal domain's cultivators had gathered here, causing many sects to form temporary alliances to secure their positions. For example, certain true immortal-level sects were allowed to send a select few, while Earth immortal-level sects were also granted access. However, this rule didn't apply to the hidden immortal sects. Apart from those in the central region, hidden sects from various regions had begun to arrive in waves, occupying key positions at the secret realm's entrance. The emergence of this secret realm was unprecedented, drawing nearly every hidden immortal sect from the past eras into the open. The entire Xianxia immortal domain was in shock. It wasn't just the overwhelming presence of Earth immortal great perfection experts. There were more than a dozen of them, which was a staggering number, and it was still rising. In just a short time, the secret realm had drawn more powerhouses than even Jiang Chengxuan's heavenly immortal ceremony, surpassing all expectations. Even the hidden immortal sects were drawn to this unprecedented event, proving their continued relevance in the immortal domain. This was not a trivial matter. It was the beginning of a storm that would reshape the Xianxia immortal domain. As days passed, more and more immortal sects arrived, filling the western Black Sea and creating a tense atmosphere. Minor conflicts between sects occasionally broke out, filling the air with danger. Even some of the great figures from the hidden immortal sects clashed in open combat, igniting a true battle, a war of celestial powers that shook the heavens and the earth, stars collapsing from the intensity of their power. Fortunately, with the secret realm's opening drawing near, the battles eventually ceased, but the tension in the air was palpable. Chapter 1550, The Secret Realm Opens, An Extraordinary Land, Part 1. The western Black Sea, a place of turbulence and ominous storms, had become the focal point of the Xianxia immortal domain with the appearance of the secret realm. Round the perimeter of the realm, nearly 1,000 immortal sects had gathered, all poised and waiting for the opening of the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm. The air was thick with anticipation, as everyone could feel that the moment of the realm's opening was drawing near. The treasure light from the realm grew brighter with each passing day, illuminating the entire western Black Sea and coalescing into a dazzling crystal of radiant colors. The wind and air had stilled, as if trapped in a surreal, dreamlike space, neither completely still nor entirely in motion. Yuanhen Elder, how much longer do you think before the secret realm opens? Asked King Yunzun, one of the leaders of the Loose Cultivator Alliance, as he gently stroked his long beard and turned to Yuanhen Xian, who stood beside him. Within 3 days, I can sense the aura of the pseudo-immortal domain secret realm already overflowing. It is awe-inspiring, replied Yuanhen Xian, standing at the forefront of the gathered sects. His aura was imposing, and his words carried great gravity. With Jiang Chengxuan's Bodhi spiritual liquid aiding his breakthrough to the Earth immortal late stage, Yuanhen Xian was one of the strongest cultivators at the scene, and as part of the Loose Cultivator Alliance, he was also a key player in the upcoming event. They had earned the right to stand at the front lines, and their position was unchallenged, with only the hidden immortal sects standing alongside them. At this moment, within the Loose Cultivator Alliance's ranks, there were only 3 Earth immortal-level experts, with neither Jiang Chengxuan nor Shen Ruyan present. Realizing the vastness of the secret realm, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had sent for their disciples to prepare for this extraordinary event. They planned to have their disciples experience the trial and seek their fortune within the secret realm. While they would intervene if necessary to protect the alliance, they did not plan to lead the charge themselves. This was a battle of fortune on an unprecedented scale, and if the Loose Cultivator Alliance missed this opportunity, they would risk losing much. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan were already preparing for their journey to the ancient realm, and the stability of the loose cultivator alliance's position in the immortal domain would be uncertain without their presence. Therefore, they decided to send out the main fighting force of the alliance, bringing along some of their most talented disciples to participate in this once-in-a-lifetime battle for the secret realm. The disciples of the loose cultivator alliance, benefiting from Jiang Chengxuan's legacy, stood proudly at the forefront, carrying the alliance's honor and reputation. Humph, a newly risen sect. Behind the scenes, some disciples of the hidden immortal sects were speaking ill of the loose cultivator alliance. They knew of Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying strength, especially when the loose cultivator alliance had joined the fray, standing side by side with them. However, that didn't mean they respected the alliance. To them, the loose cultivator alliance, with its mere few thousand years of history, was not on the same level as their sects, which had existed for millions of years. Even if they're strong, it's all thanks to Jiang Chengxuan. Once he heads to the ancient realm, they'll soon fade away. We won't need to bother with them, they muttered, dismissing the alliance's importance. Yuan Xian and the others were well aware of the disdain directed toward them but chose to ignore it, replying only with a cold snort or a glare that sent the offenders retreating. After all, the hidden immortal sects were incredibly powerful, with many Earth immortal great perfection leaders, their disciples being the best of the best. They had a right to their arrogance. Yet this did not faze the leaders of the loose cultivator alliance. They understood that while the hidden immortal sects were formidable, they weren't invincible. The upcoming trials would show who was truly worthy of the treasures the secret realm had to offer. The tension in the air continued to build as the opening of the secret realm drew closer. All cultivators stood still, some in meditation, some in anticipation, as they awaited the moment that would change everything. Here it comes. At some point, Jiang Chengxuan opened his eyes, whispering to himself. The entire world seemed to tremble as immense space tides swept through the area. The force of the energy almost exploded, spreading through the western Black Sea, lifting the ground beneath their feet. In an instant, every cultivator present felt the surge of an immense upward force, as if the very ground of the western Black Sea was being lifted, pulling them towards the heavens. It felt as though the entire land had been uprooted, sending them soaring toward the sky. Everyone looked up in awe as they saw a solidified silver space power surging from the top of the secret realm's light column. The energy cascaded down like a brilliant river of stars, then spiraled upward, consuming the entire landscape into a single channel. The terrifying power of the secret realm's opening stunned everyone. Even the hidden immortal sects who had expected great things were left utterly shocked. The sight of it left them speechless, unable to comprehend the full scale of the force at play. A pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm, the sight of its opening was beyond anyone's wildest imagination. Even Jiang Chengxuan, despite his immense power, felt the magnitude of the force. It was unlike anything he had ever encountered, surpassing even the strength of typical heavenly immortal-level powers. What is hidden within this realm? Jiang Chengxuan thought, his eyes filled with intense curiosity and determination. Chapter 1551, The Secret Realm Opens, An Extraordinary Land Part 2. The Secret Realm, undoubtedly a creation of immortal-level powers, revealed its astonishing energy as it began to activate, shaking the very foundations of the Xuanming immortal domain. The appearance of such a realm, capable of generating such earth-shattering phenomena, left all cultivators in awe. Boom! The energy from the secret realm exploded, releasing destructive thunder that shook the entire western Black Sea. Supported by the vast spatial power, the cultivators at the scene quickly unleashed their immortal energy, trying to stabilize themselves and resist the destabilizing spatial fluctuations. They braced themselves, struggling to anchor their figures to the ground. However, the force from the secret realm proved more powerful than anticipated. Some cultivators, unable to withstand the violent storm, were swept away, disappearing into the distance with terrified cries. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to die. I haven't even entered the secret realm yet. Their desperate cries echoed through the storm, filled with fear and hopelessness. They hadn't expected that after waiting so long, they wouldn't even qualify to cross the threshold into the secret realm. Amidst the chaos, no one was willing to help. Each cultivator focused on their own survival, careful not to let their guard down. The atmosphere was tense as they struggled against the overwhelming force, pushing themselves to stand firm in the fluctuating space. The distance between them and the entrance to the realm felt longer than ever before. Every step felt as though they were crossing a vast expanse, and the immense pressure made breathing almost impossible. The tension and struggle were palpable, and many cultivators trembled, feeling their immortal power freeze. As the battle for immortal energy raged on, the first true competition began, the struggle for the precious immortal chi necessary to enter the secret realm. The higher-tier immortal sects, led by their most powerful cultivators, unleashed their full powers to secure their space. Boom, boom, boom. The overwhelming power of the higher-ranking cultivators clashed with one another, creating explosions and shockwaves. Some cultivators were unlucky enough to be caught in the aftermath, thrown aside and falling out of the rising land. In this contest, Earth immortal cultivators acted quickly, using the power of their blessed lands to suppress the space around them. Their eyes burned with determination, clashing with each other's energy fields. The air grew more violent, as the laws of the Tao surged and flowed like an undercurrent. If not for the fear of exacerbating the disturbance of the secret realm, they would have unleashed their full potential, easily eliminating 90% of their competitors. Damn it, the immortal chi is drying up. I can't hold on. Hurry, take the pills. We don't know how far the entrance is. These sects are suppressing the space. We can't absorb any immortal chi. In the chaos, the higher-ranking immortal sects seized the advantage, leaving the smaller factions struggling. By the time they realized what was happening, much of the immortal chi had already been divided among the stronger sects. They couldn't do anything to change the outcome. Some cultivators, desperate, swallowed immortality pills without hesitation, fueling their energy as they sought to secure their place in the secret realm. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event, and the rewards could change the fate of their sects forever. The immense pressure persisted, and the space continued to shift, as if the world itself were being lifted. Many cultivators, racked with exhaustion, crawled on the ground, teeth clenched in pain. The disciples of various sects, protected by their elders, also felt the strain, as they experienced the harsh reality of the cultivation world for the first time. No one knew how long this had lasted until, at last, a sudden change occurred. The oppressive atmosphere lightened, and the rich immortal chi began to flood into the rising land. Cough, cough. Did we succeed? Many cultivators, almost on the brink of collapse, grabbed onto the last remaining bit of immortal chi, their bodies and minds rapidly recovering as they absorbed the precious energy. At this moment, the high-ranking cultivators of the major immortal sects had already dissipated the spatial turbulence, and they were stunned by the scene that unfolded before them. Under the power of the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm, they had entered a completely unknown space. The surroundings were eerily calm, with shimmering waves reflecting like the sea at the bottom of an immortal ocean. One of the elders from a hidden sect extended their consciousness, attempting to sense the size and layout of this place. However, their divine sense was swallowed up, failing to stir any reaction. It was as if their awareness was drifting into an endless void, and the more they expanded it, the more disoriented they became. Eventually, the elder recoiled, sensing the danger and deciding not to push further. This was a terrifying phenomenon. When one's divine sense expanded endlessly, it could cause an existential collapse, erasing the soul. Even Earth immortal cultivators could become soulless husks if they weren't careful. Even Jiang Chengxuan's perception could not fully grasp the boundaries of this place. A sense of foreboding filled his heart, and he knew that this secret realm's power far exceeded what he had anticipated. Even with his heavenly immortal strength, navigating it would require extreme caution. What kind of place is this? Has the secret realm opened? Jiang Chengxuan pondered, his eyes burning with intense curiosity. Have we arrived? Where are we? The cultivators murmured, looking around in confusion. With their cultivation, this space felt as vast as an immortal domain, but it was unnervingly empty. No signs of life or treasure were visible, only an endless stretch of shimmering water-like light. Where is the entrance? This can't be the secret realm, they said in frustration. They searched for a long time but found nothing. Even the elders from the hidden sects grew impatient. This strange space felt like a prison, an unnerving, featureless void that made them uneasy. At this moment, only Jiang Chengxuan, with his powers of divination, began to piece together the truth. As he carefully examined the situation, he realized that the entrance to this secret realm could only be accessed by retracing their steps. Guiding Shen Ruyan with him, they retraced their path, moving back toward the point where they had entered. If they were not in this world, the place they sought should be on the edge of the western Black Sea. That is, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes narrowed as he saw something unexpected. Amidst the vast, unchanging landscape, the edge of the western Black Sea still existed, blending seamlessly into the shimmering expanse. If they hadn't ventured there themselves, they would have never noticed it. It had no presence, no energy, merely existing as a boundary within this strange space. If I'm not mistaken, this secret realm requires us to return to the past to find the entrance, Jiang Chengxuan said, after deep reflection. After all the calculations and deductions, he had pieced together a critical insight. This pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm operated through the power of time and space. It wasn't in the present, but rather in a state of chaos within the flow of time, and only by returning to a previous moment could they access its true entrance. Before they could proceed further, a voice broke the silence. So you two sneaky ones actually had the luck to find this. A group of black-robed demonic cultivators appeared behind them, grinning widely as they looked at the edge of the space. They had noticed Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan's detour and thought they might be able to rob them, but instead, they had discovered an incredible secret, and their excitement was palpable. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, however, paid them no mind. Chapter 1552, Entering the Secret Realm, The Battle for the Entrance, Part 1. The demonic cultivators of the Heart Demon sect who had suddenly appeared didn't manage to fool Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. They had sensed them long before, but chose to ignore them. However, when these individuals boldly approached and openly threatened them, it became almost comical to Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. "Hey, you two, are you scared stupid? Why don't you turn around?" One of the demonic cultivators mocked as he saw Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan ignore their presence. I see these little wanderers must have heard of the Heart Demon sect's name," another sneered. Seeing their threats going unheeded, the group of demonic cultivators grew increasingly enraged. They raised their voices in frustration, attempting to intimidate them further. "HMPH, Big Brother, let's just kill them. With them out of the way, this secret realm will be ours," one of the cultivators suggested with a bloodthirsty gleam in his eyes. But just as he finished speaking, his words were abruptly cut off. The violent, malicious expression on his face froze, replaced by confusion. A subtle breeze passed through, and with it, any trace of vitality in their eyes vanished. They vanished without a sound, leaving no trace behind. In the blink of an eye, they were reduced to ash. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan didn't even acknowledge the event. They continued their conversation calmly, as if nothing had happened. "Let's pass on the secret realm's mysteries to Yuanhen and the others. We'll move ahead first," Jiang Chengxuan said nonchalantly. Shen Ruyan took out a jade plaque and inscribed a few symbols on it with her slender finger. The symbols would appear according to the rules of the jade plaque, ensuring no interception from others. Both of them felt a surge of anticipation in their hearts. Together, they began to float through the air, heading toward the distant silhouette of the western Black Sea. As they moved, an unseen force seemed to twist the fabric of space, showing them flashes of past scenes. For a brief moment, they were immersed in the view of the vast, dark ocean filled with gigantic sea creatures hunting or fighting. Then, a terrifying aura of tribulation descended, and a strange mist wall rose, twisting and consuming everything in its path, growing eerie branches and spawning ominous tribulation creatures. Next, they saw countless immortal cultivators rushing toward a specific place, their forms radiating immortal light, chasing after something. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan knew these were glimpses of the past, the time of the western Black Sea, the era of the Great Tribulation, and scenes from just months ago. As they finally crossed the watering-like boundary, everything around them suddenly shifted, the landscape expanding, the atmosphere growing charged with immense power. They glimpsed ancient beasts roaring through the heavens, including a gigantic rock that snatched up a massive elephant, as well as mighty ancient figures wielding world-shattering power. Their actions were so grand that entire worlds were born and perished with a single movement of their hands. Among the flashes, they saw a domineering figure, surrounded by a powerful aura of the ancient realm, clashing with endless chaos. The presence felt familiar to Jiang Chengxuan. It was the same one whose ancient immortal treasures he had acquired. In the midst of these visions, they witnessed a powerful figure from the past, an existence that transcended the immortal realm. Jiang Chengxuan remembered the aura of this being from his previous encounters, the same one who had tried to break the seals of the ancient realm. Before Jiang Chengxuan could reflect further on these mind-blowing sights, the world before them suddenly contracted, as if pulled away, disappearing like a fleeting dream. A powerful, resonating hum echoed through their consciousness. Boom! Moments later, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan felt their bodies light. They were now in an entirely new world. Before them stood towering mountain ranges, each peak covered with countless immortal plants and flowers. The air was thick with immortal qi, the landscape vibrant and full of life. Star-catching immortal grass, fiery feathered flying flowers, white blood lingjai, Jiang Chengxuan noted, his eyes scanning the flourishing immortals' herbs, though their value for him now was minimal. Yet, such dense growth indicated the vitality of this secret realm. It was indeed a land of tremendous potential. The primordial power here is far from weak. This truly is a place for cultivation, Shen Ruyan remarked, admiring the lush surroundings. It truly lives up to the reputation of a pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm. There must be some incredible opportunities here. Let's not waste time. I sense some powerful auras ahead. Let's go explore, Jiang Chengxuan said, his voice filled with determination. He released his vast divine sense, sweeping through the area. He quickly picked up on several unusual energies. Although their primary objective here was the immortal-level treasure, they were not about to abandon any other opportunities. Since they had entered the secret realm, they intended to secure as many treasures as possible to prepare for the future. Given that Shen Ruyan needed substantial resources to break through to the heavenly immortal realm, acquiring these resources would ease the burden on the loose cultivator alliance, potentially preventing any future struggles. Without further hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan set off, moving swiftly through the Pale Mountains, their figures leaving traces in the air as they ventured deeper into the realm. Chapter 1553, Entering the Secret Realm, The Battle for the Entrance, Part 2. In the depths of the mountains, the occasional roar of a beast echoed, sending a flock of immortal birds scattering in panic. Within the vast pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm, only two figures moved freely, exploring every corner without haste. Now I understand. As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan ventured deeper into the secret realm ahead of everyone else, Yuan Hengxian, back at the initial platform, looked on with shining eyes and murmured to himself. His gaze was focused, as though pondering something, but in reality, his right hand was carefully feeling a jade token hidden within his sleeve, savoring the tactile sensation of the characters etched on it, a smile forming on his face as he processed the information. He had immediately received the message from Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, and upon reading it, the dilemma he had been facing was resolved with ease. In the eerie silence of this space, every force began to stir, testing the environment in various ways, causing ripples and fluctuations in the air. Even the hidden immortal sects who had remained silent until now were beginning to act. They brought out unheard-of treasures, searching frantically for the entrance to the secret realm, their faces pale with frustration. They had expected that their emergence would stir up chaos and bloodshed, re-establishing their dominance, but to their dismay, after all their efforts, they couldn't even find the entrance to the secret realm. The crushing disappointment hit them hard. We have the heavenly lords behind us. We can't afford to delay, the elders of the hidden immortal sects muttered anxiously, a cold chill creeping up their spines. They were aware that powerful figures from the ancient realm were watching their every move. These ancient beings were not just the supporters of the hidden immortal sects, they were their true masters. The importance of this secret realm was immense. The command to enter had come directly from the ancient realm, and failing to find the entrance would mean dire consequences. The secret realm is not something to be underestimated. If we can find the way in first, there might be a huge opportunity, one of the elders said urgently. The immortal sects were eager, each with their own agenda. They had no knowledge of the immortal-level treasures within the realm, but even without them, the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm alone was enough to make them desperate to claim it by any means necessary. Wait, what's that? Did you find something? Are you trying to keep it for yourself? As soon as any cultivator detected a potential clue, the other sects immediately zeroed in, and in an instant, various forces converged to suppress any disturbance. Several such conflicts had erupted in the short time, though many turned out to be false alarms. Nonetheless, each false lead had resulted in heavy losses and intense battles. This is wonderful, but how do we avoid the prying eyes of the hidden immortal sects? Within the loose cultivator alliances group, Yuan Hengxian shared the news with the other two Earth immortal elders. Their faces lit up with joy, but this also raised a new issue. The hidden immortal sects were watching them closely. The various sects knew that Jiang Chengxuan, the heavenly immortal, stood behind the loose cultivator alliance. Many believed that they would be the first to discover the entrance. Not only the hidden immortal sects, but numerous other forces were now keeping a watchful eye on them. Although they now knew how to enter the secret realm, any sign of activity from them would inevitably alert everyone, revealing their secret. If they couldn't enter the realm ahead of the others, it would be a massive setback for the loose cultivator alliance. This meant they would lose the advantage to other sects. Yuan Xian and King Yunzun remained stoic as they thought about the situation. Unseen by them, dozens of gazes were fixed on them, and the weight of those eyes was unmistakable. These shameless bastards, calling themselves hidden immortal sects. One of the other Earth immortal elders of the loose cultivator alliance muttered, enraged. Even with the method to enter now revealed, they were caught in a difficult position. There was no way forward without risking exposure. We need to create chaos. Only then can we seize the opportunity in the confusion, Yuan Xian whispered, hinting at the crux of the plan. The idea quickly took root in the minds of the elders, and with a shared glance, they all knew what needed to be done. Let's go! With a sharp command, Yuan Xian and the others led their disciples, channeling their immortal energy to tear open a spatial passage and rushing in with a surge. The sudden movement sent shockwaves through the gathered forces. Many cultivators were caught off guard, their attention sharply focused on the disturbance. Some had been monitoring the loose cultivator alliance closely, and as they saw Yuan Xian and the others break into action, their eyes gleamed with realization. Chase them, they must have received instructions. Fools, they've finally found the entrance. In an instant, countless figures leapt into action, transforming into streaks of light, racing through the void in pursuit of the loose cultivator alliance's group. The once chaotic space erupted into a frenzy as the assembled sects, long waiting for an opening, scrambled to seize the opportunity. The chase had begun. Faced with the fierce pursuit of so many immortal sects, Yuan Xian and his group remained calm, their eyes hardening with resolve. They summoned the power of their blessed lands to disrupt the space around them. They launched their divine powers into the air, triggering massive bursts of earth immortal force that manifested as strange phenomena, blocking the advancing forces with their overwhelming might. But the hidden immortal sects reacted quickly. Faced with immense pressure, they ceased their internal conflict. Several Earth immortal great perfection elders acted together, unleashing their overwhelming power to suppress the attackers. Within moments, Yuan Xian and his disciples, divine techniques were scattered, their forces dissipating in the wake of the hidden immortal sects' might. Clearly, shaking off the hidden immortal sects, pursuit was impossible with their current strength. The elders of the hidden immortal sects revealed smirks, like cats playing with their prey. They knew that despite their earlier caution, once inside the secret realm, there would be no escape for the loose cultivator alliance. Time's up, we need to move quickly. Yuan Xian's eyes sharpened as he instructed his comrades. In an instant, 3 Earth immortal elders from the loose cultivator alliance joined forces, conjuring intricate symbols in the air. The space around them trembled as they etched their seals into the ground, causing a silver tsunami to erupt, sweeping through the surroundings. Before everyone's eyes, a mysterious passage was opened, revealing a wide path that looked like a river being cleaved open, exposing the way beneath. Could this be the entrance? The sight caused many of the sects to shudder in shock, their faces lighting up with joy. Before they could process it further, Yuan Xian led the way, rushing into the passage without hesitation. The silver ocean began to close at an astonishing rate, creating thunderous sounds as it collapsed behind them. They're trying to close the entrance. The various sects cried out, racing to follow the loose cultivator alliance into the passage, desperate not to miss their chance. The hidden immortal sects, more focused than ever, surged forward with overwhelming energy, blocking the way for others, ensuring that no one would follow them into the secret realm. Chapter 1554, Taking the Lead, Treasures of the Secret Realm, Part 1. Boom! With the chaotic figures of countless immortals flitting through the void like a swarm of crows, the vast heavens trembled under the explosive roar of sound. The entire world quaked relentlessly. The passage to the secret realm, opened by Yuan Xian and the others from the loose cultivator alliance, led the way as they charged forward, followed closely by the cultivators from the hidden immortal sects. These groups, determined not to let the loose cultivator alliance escape, simultaneously launched attacks to delay the progress of the other immortals trailing behind them. As expected, a great upheaval erupted. In the passage that Yuan Xian and the others had entered, all forces began to silently unite, responding with powerful strikes as they were attacked by the hidden immortal sects. One after another, dazzling beams of heavenly light tore through space, and nine-colored Tao energies showcased their divine might, swallowing the entire realm in their force. Chaotic storms burst forth, sweeping in all directions. Immortals wielding magical treasures dashed through the storm, their eyes bloodshot as they launched explosive assaults. Damn it, these hidden immortal sects are utterly shameless. They don't want us to enter the secret realm either. These old bastards, they won't die a good death. The elders from various immortal sects, in the most intense part of the storm, shouted in fury at the hidden immortal sects' blatant obstruction. Their forces pushed forward, using their blessed lands to clear the way and breaking the earth-shattering blows from the earth immortals that came their way. HMPH, these fools are quick to act, sneered the hidden immortal sect cultivators, their eyes flickering with disdain. Under the pressure from the hidden immortal sects, the various immortal sects quickly formed unspoken alliances, using their strength to prevent their enemies from gaining the upper hand. Despite the hidden immortal sects' savage attacks, they weren't able to eliminate too many of their opponents, which left them with a sense of regret. They've entered. At that moment, under the gaze of all, the loose Cultivator Alliance's team, positioned at the forefront, had already crossed the Silver Passage's threshold. With a hum, they vanished into the vastness of the world. Forget about them, the priority is to enter the secret realm. The core members of the hidden immortal sects immediately gave orders, calling for all forces to cease attacking and focus on entering the secret realm. For these immortal sect forces, eliminating their enemies along the way would be ideal, but they also knew it wasn't worth wasting too much energy on them. The priority now was to secure their place in the secret realm. Charge! Upon hearing the command, the leaders of the hidden immortal sects acknowledged the shift in priorities. Their forces, having hesitated for a moment, swiftly halted their attacks and surged forward with renewed speed. In the blink of an eye, they covered most of the distance across the Silver Secret Realm passage, their eyes alight with anticipation, as if they had already caught the scent of the treasures within the secret realm. Boom! As the passage's end erupted with a powerful wave, the cultivators from the hidden immortal sects finally crossed the spiritual gate. But what greeted them next caused their smiles to freeze in place. The world was eerily silent. The shimmering waves of Tao light reflected off the surroundings, as though they were submerged at the bottom of an immortal sea. Nothing existed around them, only silver lines lingering in the empty space. This wasn't the secret realm they had expected. It was exactly the same place they had started from. They had circled around, using various methods, only to have passed through the spatial gate and arrived right back at their original position. The sudden turn of events stunned the disciples of the hidden immortal sects. Even the Earth Immortal Great Perfection Elders were frozen in place, their faces turning ashen. Instinctively, they quickly scanned their surroundings with their divine senses, searching for the loose Cultivator Alliance's members. But to their surprise, the group led by Yuan Xian had long since disappeared without a trace. We've been tricked, damn it. We were fooled. This wasn't the entrance to the secret realm at all. The wise elders of the hidden immortal sects immediately understood the situation. It was clear now that the grand entrance they had followed was nothing more than a distraction orchestrated by Yuan Xian. The goal had been to cause chaos, allowing their group to remain hidden amidst the turmoil, avoiding attention from the other forces and slipping into the dark unnoticed. They must know the real way to enter the secret realm but didn't want us to find out. One of the hidden immortal sect elders stated grimly, revealing the more brutal truth of the situation. But it was too late. Even if they had figured out the trick, the members of the loose Cultivator Alliance had likely already entered the secret realm by now. This realization only stoked the fury of the hidden immortal sect leaders. Their faces were flushed with anger, their eyes burning with rage. The atmosphere around them thickened, distorting the space itself in response to their wrath. Centuries ago, they had been the unbeatable rulers of the immortal domain. Never had they suffered such a loss. To think that after just returning to the fray, they were tricked so easily, it was an unbearable blow. This is the secret realm, one of the cultivators murmured in disbelief. Where are the loose Cultivator Alliance members? Damn it, they've been tricked, another growled in frustration. A moment later, The various immortal sect forces who had been trailing the hidden immortal sects crossed through the spiritual gate, finding themselves in the exact same space. A wave of hot excitement turned quickly to confusion and doubt as the full realization dawned upon them. The joy quickly turned to helplessness as they processed the situation. Heh, these hidden immortal sects were just as tricked as we were, one of them muttered with a smile. They were trying to stop us earlier, thinking we were the ones getting deceived. It seems they're the ones who got played after all. Chapter 1555, Taking the Lead, Treasures of the Secret Realm Part 2. At the same time, some immortals, who had nearly been blocked from entering, couldn't help but laugh quietly, feeling a sense of schadenfreude. They relished the sight of the hidden immortal sect's suffering, which helped to dilute their own anger at having been tricked. The sneering words only served to darken the faces of the hidden immortal sect cultivators, their jaws clenched in rage. "Shut your mouth, you dogs." At once, one of the hidden immortal sect cultivators erupted, bellowing angrily at the one who had dared to mock them, and launched an attack in fury. This sparked another round of chaos, but this time, it no longer involved the Loose Cultivator Alliance. As the initiators of this entire event, the Loose Cultivator Alliance's group was already far ahead, having used a secret technique to shield their aura from detection. That startled me. If these hidden immortal sects had kept up with us, it would have been hard to shake them off, Xianxia remarked, chuckling. Thankfully, they thought they were blocking the other sects, which really helped us. As the group sped towards the edge of the western Black Sea, Xian and King Yunzun's faces were filled with satisfaction. During the chase, the hidden immortal sects' speed had exceeded their expectations, and they had almost thought the plan might fail. However, by sheer luck, the hidden immortal sect cultivators had slowed their pace to launch attacks on the other immortal sects, buying enough time for Xian and his group to move far enough ahead and shake off all surveillance. They shot themselves in the foot. How amusing, one of the Earth Immortal Elders said with a grin, delighted by the turn of events. After that, their group encountered no further obstacles. Following Jiang Chengxuan's instructions, they followed the same route back to the edge of the secret realm, where the boundary awaited them. "All disciples, listen up. Stay together and don't wander off," Xian commanded firmly as the Loose Cultivator Alliance's team was reorganized and passed through the boundary of the western Black Sea. At that moment, the scenes that Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had witnessed earlier, the ancient past of the western Black Sea, began to manifest within their minds. However, compared to Jiang Chengxuan's clarity, their visions were far more obscure, with many of the disciples only seeing a chaotic mixture of colors. But they were prepared for this, and none of them panicked. Eventually, after an undetermined amount of time, the group arrived in the lush, thriving realm that they sought. "They've made it," Jiang Chengxuan sensed at the same time, acknowledging the arrival of his allies. With a casual wave, a five-colored divine wheel appeared, slicing through the sky. An enormous beast, its body covered in crystal, fell before them. "That's good. Let the hidden immortal sects panic," Jiang Chengxuan said calmly, as Shen Ruyan smiled serenely beside him. With a few gestures, she summoned the primordial wind, wrapping the slain beast in a cocoon. In just a few breaths, the crystals imbued with vast primordial energy were gathered into her storage ring. During the time when the outside world was embroiled in complex schemes, the two of them had already visited several such places, scavenging resources and gathering a bountiful harvest. "Let them figure it out on their own. There are no great dangers here," Jiang Chengxuan remarked, showing no intent to meet up with Xian and the others. The events within the secret realm would require them to face challenges and grow stronger, a necessary trial for them. "This is fantastic. We've entered the secret realm. Indeed, this is the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm. I can feel the massive primordial energy here. Oh my heavens! If we can establish a branch here, I can't even imagine the benefits." Upon entering the secret realm, Xian and the others were overwhelmed with excitement. The realm before them was unlike anything Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had ever seen. Towering mountains loomed in the distance, their surfaces gleaming with immortal light, and the atmosphere was thick with an overwhelming aura. The immortal chi here was 100 times denser than what they had felt outside, with the primordial energy swirling through the air. "Let's move quickly. It's still safe here. Elders, lead your groups. Form teams of 5 and spread out to explore. Record everything you find and regroup when you can." Xian issued the command, his authority unquestioned as one of Jiang Chengxuan's trusted allies. His leadership ensured that everyone operated efficiently. As they began exploring, they were amazed by the overwhelming abundance of resources. As an untouched pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm, it was rich in rare treasures, too many to count. Just a 10-mile walk through the mountains yielded rare medicinal herbs and materials. Within moments, they had already gathered a wealth of resources sufficient for many of the disciples. Cultivation. Brother, look over there. There's an immortal herb. You go ahead. I see something incredible I need to report to the elder. What? There's a primordial violet starflower. Take me there. The air was filled with calls from the loose Cultivator Alliance's team as they excitedly discovered more and more treasures. The scene was lively, with immortal light flashing everywhere as everyone eagerly searched for resources. Their excitement was palpable, and the energy in the air was electric. They collected treasure after treasure, the aura of each one more incredible than the last, and before long, the accumulation from a single day was equivalent to decades of effort outside the realm. Such a harvest sent the entire loose Cultivator Alliance into a frenzy, erasing all fatigue and doubts. They were exhilarated by the discoveries and couldn't stop exploring. Meanwhile, the forces still outside the secret realm were growing increasingly anxious. The secret realm was like a mouth-watering delicacy placed just beyond their reach. They could see it, but they couldn't partake in it. It was frustrating enough to be separated from the realm, but even more so was the sight of others slipping past them and indulging in its riches. The hidden immortal sects seethed with anger, their frustration reaching a boiling point. Fortunately, the other forces didn't remain idle. Driven by their impatience, they relentlessly sought any way to enter the secret realm, using every method at their disposal. Eventually, after some time and an unexpected turn of events, one cultivator stumbled upon the edge of the realm. Following the same route they had traveled earlier, they noticed the mysterious dark outline. This accidental discovery caused a great uproar among the surrounding forces. The hidden immortal sects were the first to arrive, capturing the cultivator and subjecting them to intense questioning. Through a series of calculations and ancient text researched by the Earth Immortal Great Perfection Elders, they were the first to uncover the secret to the realm's space and time anomalies, solving the puzzle of the secret realm's activation. This revelation sent shockwaves throughout the realm. Cultivators from all over the immortal domain immediately reversed course, heading back toward the boundary. As they crossed the threshold, the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm finally opened to the masses. We're here, we've finally found it. What an overwhelming aura. This is definitely the pseudo-immortal domain-level secret realm. The moment we step in, there's an immortal herb. This place is truly a holy land. Under the celestial dome of the secret realm, countless figures descended like raindrops, their feet touching the ground of this precious land. There was no one who wasn't thrilled by the treasures scattered throughout the realm. The moment they stepped onto the land, the excitement was overwhelming. From afar, the entire realm shimmered with divine light, an endless sea of medicinal herbs and rare treasures, beckoning every cultivator. In an instant, the entire immortal domain went mad. Without hesitation, they dashed forward, their bodies becoming streaks of light as they rushed toward their newfound riches. A swarm of cultivators, as dense as a flock of crows, surged forward, pulling back the curtain on the secret realm.